Welcome back. I'm Jackie Jing, and I'm with Veli and Jesse, and it is time for Disrupt versus the Soniqs. And I'm very excited about this matchup. I'm kind of more excited about this matchup because, Veli, every time we talk about either of these teams, you always tell me how you love their potential. So I want to see both of them just show up and just have this major clash. Am I wrong?
No, you're right. And
Okay.
you know what? I tweeted out a hot take. I thought it was a hot take. I said if Soniqs had their full team at the beginning of the stage, they'd be top 2 in their group, and a lot of people agreed with me. So that just shows I'm not alone on this, okay?
Agreed. Jesse, how you feeling about this matchup, though?
I
You got a
feel
little
good.
smirk on your face.
Yeah, I think this is sort of definitely that like 5th, 6th matchup in my mind, and I think that like these are the teams that will be pushing in for that top 4 spot in future stages. So this is going to be a really good one, hopefully. And we've of course got that underage rivalry, the brand new 18-year-olds on each squad.
Oh, yeah, looking forward to that. But really quickly, let's recap last week's matches and explain why we're here. Veli, take it away, sir.
So this matchup is oh so important. Why? Because you win and you are in the qualifier for the NA Major. All right, now the thing is, Disrupt Gaming, they beat Temple Storm last week. Soniqs, they beat E United. That's why E United, they're dead last. Temple Storm, they still have a fighting chance. They will play against the loser of this game for that last qualifier spot. So now all eyes are going to be on Disrupt and Soniqs. You win this, you have a you have a chance for the major. You'll lose it, you risk it even more. So basically, just don't lose, okay? That's all.
Don't lose.
It's that
Fantastic
simple, Jackie.
advice from Veli there. All right, gentlemen. Well, I know y'all are very excited to see which scarf Blue is wearing today. So,
Gucci Blue.
very quickly, let's check in with Blue and Stokes. Gentlemen, how are you feeling about this matchup? Disrupt versus the Soniqs, and what scarf is Blue? What?
Well, I got bad news for Jackie because there is
Blue?
no scarf.
Don't do me like that. Oh,
Look at
no,
Sam.
he did not. Aw, man. Of all the days to not wear a scarf, when
Sorry,
I actually
I only
call
have
it
the
out.
one scarf. That's the problem.
Better
I
go
need
get that
more.
scarf right
I
now.
can't just wear the same scarf
I feel like
on
you
every
should
show.
always wear the scarf. It's fine. Moving on. How do y'all feel about this matchup? I'm thoroughly disappointed right now.
I'm doing good. This is like a really cool matchup, actually. It's like you guys were talking about before. We've had really great storylines of these two teams. It's been building up now over the past couple weeks, and it's going to make for a really epic clash, I think, today, because it's kind of reaching an apex point for both of these teams now. You know, are we going to continue to see them soar, reputationally speaking? Are we going to continue to see them contend more and more with the top 4 teams that already made it to the upper group? Or are things going to potentially change and start to trend downward maybe from this point forward? We don't really know, and that's what makes this match so exciting.
Yeah, that as well as the rookie matchup that we have going into this with Iconic and NJR, I think that could definitely spell for 3 maps out of 3 on this series. I'm really excited to see how it goes, especially with the stats that NJR's been able to put up this season.
Very, very excited for all of this. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Not to Blue, though, because he forgot the scarf memo.
Wow.
But moving on. No, I'm just kidding, Blue. Love you too. But we do need to talk about these teams. Really excited about this matchup. So let's start off with the Soniqs. And I just keep on saying it. Veli loves the potential of the Soniqs. Well, their potential will truly be put to the test today. DG has proven to be a fierce competitor in the U.S. division. Veli, be candid. I don't even need to ask you that, actually. Veli, be Veli. How do you think these teams are going to line up here?
Well, first things first, you got to take a look at 2 of the biggest names in this matchup. It's going to be Iconic from this team and also NJR from that team. And the one thing I like to say, both of these players, little fun fact, they're both rated number 1 and 2 when it comes to entry fragging. NJR is the top entry fragger, going 24 and 11. He's positive 13, right? That's insane, especially for a rookie. Iconic is second at 16 and 7. Now, think about how dangerous Iconic has been without a full roster. Now that Slebin and Gonfi are currently here, along with Easling and Super, this team, they're going to be firing off on all cylinders, or I hope so, because if they do, then everything that each and every single one of these players has been doing in the past with these great plays is going to be magnified.
You just said Slebin and Gonfi. Jesse, I was like, we got to talk about these fraggers that should be feared. Talk to me, big brain.
I mean, Slebin came in for his first game in the last matchup against United, right? And so I think he did a really good job playing in that game. there's a little bit of asterisk in that you're playing against United, who have now secured their spot in last. But still, I mean, I thought it was a really good debut performance, and I don't want to take that away from him. Hey, man, I mean, it is what it is, right? You can't change the reality of it. But he played really well, and so I think you got to give a lot of credit to Slevin there, jumping into a roster that he's obviously had a lot of experience with, but now he's coming into a slightly new lineup with Iconic being on this role too. So he performed really, really well. He's with Hyper, one of the only 2 players with over a 1.0 KPR. Again, that's one match sample size against United, but still, I mean, he's been performing really well, so I hope he can keep that up against Disrupt.
Okay, well, talking about Disrupt, let's roll this video of Disrupt. Roll the tape.
Toughest team that we faced was probably SSG.
SSG was actually a team that we matched up really bad against. Like, it was really hard to figure out what maps we wanted to take SSG to when we were gonna play them.
They're the reigning world champs, and I think they were definitely the most intense games for us. It went all the way down to the wire. I think they're definitely the toughest opponent right now.
We feel actually like really good going into phase 2. We've been putting in a lot of effort, a lot of hours, a lot of work.
Our practice has been better than ever. We've been together for longer, so we've been able to iron out a lot of things.
Because we are a new team, we're building that experience on match day, and I think we're only going to be getting better, so the sky's the limit, honestly.
If you have good chemistry and you have good team camaraderie, I think a team can overcome anything. Just like based off our results, you can see that like we're like really resilient as a team.
We can go down and we'll always be pretty much fine.
We have some of like the best vibes in game out of any team I've ever been on, and I think we do a really good job of keeping a level head. Whenever we're down, our momentum's always good, and I think that proves it with the OXG game as well, because like we went through a lot of that game and we still ended up almost beating them. So I'd say the team I wanted to play the most, we already played, was OXG, but I do really want to beat Soniqs as well because I'm good friends with a lot of those guys.
Definitely Soniqs, just because Iconic. I mean, the game might be a little easy, but like I have to play my old teammate.
It's not meaningful until we become the best. It's not meaningful until like we're number 1, and we're not going to stop striving for that until we accomplish it.
Very interesting, Jesse, to hear them talking about Iconic there. I know you're a card-carrying member of the NJR fan club, but I really wanted to ask you how you thought our young gunners, NJR and Iconic, are going to line up today.
I think this is going to be the best like player v player matchup that we've got in the NAL. Obviously, there's that storyline. They used to play with each other on OB. That was an underage team that was quite good. And now they've made it here into the NAL, and they're playing on different rosters. And Veli highlighted the stats. They are 1 and 2 in entry, but they're neck and neck in almost every other stat as well. Typically, NGR ranks a little bit higher in the kill stat, so KPR, he's like, I think, a little bit above him. And then also just the plus minus in general, he's just a tiniest bit above Iconic. But when it comes to overall rating and cost, Iconic's the one who just edges him out barely, with a little bit ahead in both those categories. So it's like, I think NGR is more flashy. I think he's got bigger plays so far, but they've been also a little bit more spread out. I think Iconic's been a little bit more consistent. So these players going against each other is easily the best thing about this matchup. And yeah, I'm really excited to see how that goes.
I'm super excited for that too. Veli, let's take a closer look at DG. Okay. They've had some real close losses. I keep on saying we love these teams' potential, but I mean, they have shown a lot of potential. I just don't know if they've quite met it yet. Are they going to be successful today? Do you think that we can see Disrupt finally bring it all out?
I say we, at this point on, let's not talk about potential. Now is where they have to shine. And looking at Disrupt Gaming, they look extremely poised, just like Soniqs. And let's not forget, Disrupt Gaming took Space Station Gaming to 3 maps where they lost by 1 round the last 2 maps. They could have been top 2 in their own group. So DG, they're really good. The biggest question mark to me still is if their play style where they just completely ignore roamers at times in order to get the plant down, which they do a great job at, is that going to come back and bite them against a team that you know, they live for the roam? We'll see.
All right, well, sorry, Jesse, continue.
No, I just want to say real quick that I think that particularly Disrupt Gaming can struggle sometimes when they go up against a defense they haven't seen before. Yeah. When you throw new strats at them, they can struggle on that attacking side. We've seen that on Theme Park a couple of times. They really don't do well attacking that map. So that's something to watch out for in this match versus the Soniqs for sure.
Okay. Gentlemen, prediction time. I don't know who y'all are going to pick. Okay, I'll start with Big Brain. I always start with Big Brain for predictions for some reason. So we'll start with you again.
Sure. I think that like a lot of the casters I've talked to and all the community have been siding with the Sonics in this one. But for me, like a lot of teams have told me they believe they're top 4. Only one team in the bottom 4 currently have like shown me that they belong in the top 4, and that's Disrupt Gaming. I think definitely this team, more than any other team, has the potential to break up into that top echelon of North American tier, and so I think Disrupt Gaming should take this matchup, probably 2-0, but maybe Sonics can upset them for a map or 2.
Okay, Valley, I'm excited to see who you pick. I mean, you kind of tend to go with the Sonics, so I'm gonna guess Sonics.
I like DG a lot.
Okay.
I legitimately think with Slevin coming back, him paired with Gonfi, his duo, plus Iconic's just his amazing play. I love Iconic. I feel like their play style definitely counters what Disrupt Gaming has. That roam, I don't think Disrupt is going to be able to contain it. So I'm going with Sonics.
All right, we are split again. Well, let's get right to it. Super excited to see this match go down. Disrupt versus the Sonics. Do not go anywhere. We have our casters, Blue and Stokes, even though Blue is not wearing a scarf, but it's okay. I'm sure we'll all be able to look past it. And also, please make sure you follow us on Twitter and Instagram. We got accounts there. But yeah, let's get things rolling. Disrupt versus the Sonics coming up. We'll be right back.
Here we go now.
It's Jackie Jing, and I am with Iconic from the Sonics. We're going to put you in the hot seat today. I got some fun questions for you. So, I was going to ask if you guys have a team pet. I thought I saw one walking around.
Yeah, we have Harvey.
Can we see Harvey?
It's Seth's dog, but he's always in the office. He just walked out with them.
Aw, Harvey. Okay, you're going to have to send me a photo or something. Who is the most fashionable?
Me or Kev. I like my clothes because I love shoes, so all my clothes go with my shoes, everything like that. Just if I look good, I play good. That's how I kind of think about it.
Okay, I love it. Who kind of needs help in the fashion department?
Slevin.
Okay, elaborate.
I can get my boy fitted. I can get his shoe game up. He has some clean fits, everything like that.
Okay, so Slevin needs some work. Who's going to be the next TikTok star on the team?
I've already tried to go famous on TikTok, and it hasn't gone very well, so I don't think it's me.
Tate, I want to hear your TikTok stories.
It's just unfair. I post a TikTok, it doesn't blow up. Someone else posts a TikTok, it blows up. I'm unlucky with it.
Do you do dancing TikToks?
I did a few dancing TikToks, a few meme TikToks, but nothing worked.
I'm going to find your TikTok.
impossible.
It's out there somewhere.
It's out there somewhere, but it's impossible to find.
Who is the best dancer on the team?
Probably Harvey. I think Harvey's the best dancer. The dog. He gets pretty hype. Maybe Joe, our coach. Joe breaks it down a few times.
What dance moves? I can't even imagine this.
Joe used to be a ballerina back in the day, so he does a few twirls for us, stuff like that.
You're lying, right?
Yeah. But maybe.
Oh my gosh. I believed you. You can't do that. Who's the funniest on the team?
Me, Kevin, Seth. It's just like a three-way tie. This team it's a very fun team to be on. The atmosphere is always very like energetic. It's fun when we're playing. We're having fun. So.
Oh, I love
It's a fun
that.
team to be on.
You're fantastic. Thank you so much, Iconic.
Welcome back once again, ladies and gentlemen. It is just about match time here for our second game of the night between the Sonics and Disrupt Gaming. This is quite an interesting matchup if you've been paying attention to these two teams over the past couple of weeks. For the first stage here of the US division, we've been seeing these teams rise quite heavily in their skill level here, especially with regards to Disrupt. They made some really great impact early on in the season and have been continuing to do so, almost taking a matchup versus SSG. Sonics, in the meantime, obviously dealing with some visa struggles at the very beginning of the season, but now having that sorted out, they've looked stronger than ever coming into the last few games. Isn't that right, Stokes?
Yeah, I would say that the Sonics windup was quite long, but it wasn't even that. Even when they had two subs in, they still looked very dominant inside of their matchups. And now that they have both of their international talents back, specifically Slebin last week, doing all of the work, it seemed, in order to have the Sonics be successful. A 1.34 after that best of 3 last week. Extremely impressive stuff.
Great performance from him, but there's some other players that we want to talk about and focus on as well, and that brings us to the heart of our community question for this matchup. Make sure to go ahead over on our Twitter account and be sure to submit your vote to the poll. We want to know who you think is going to pop off more in this matchup. Is it going to be NJR or is it going to be Iconic? Go ahead over to @R6esportsNA and submit your vote to that poll. We'll have the results a little bit later on in the show.
Well, getting into this matchup between these two, what's the biggest outliers for you, John? We heard on the desk that it seems to be a matchup for the rookies, NJR versus Iconic. They're almost all of their stats, actually, falling very close to each other.
Yeah, a lot of it's going to come down to how those two players perform. I'm personally looking at how the other players' performances are going to kind of vary from map to map and how that's going to impact their performances as well. It's been a little bit of a teeter-totter in that respect, so that could make things flow in different directions. We got the maps up here, by the way. Obviously, they're starting to come up now. Our first two already on the board as Villa and Coastline as the initial picks come out, and then Consulate is what we're going to end up being left with after all the picks have concluded. Stokes, how do you think that this map will play into these teams' chances to win it out?
Villa's a very fresh map for both of these teams, actually. Neither of them have won this map in the last 3 months. Disrupt is currently 0-1 on it, so they're the only one that actually has any play on it in the last 3 months. So we're definitely going to see something unique when it comes to Villa. Haven't seen any of the Sonics holds on it in quite some time, so extremely excited for that one.
Yeah, and even the one map that was lost here, it's probably not too uncomfortable of a pick for Disrupt, because that was still a relatively close game versus Oxygen that happened a few weeks ago, where they only ended up losing that one in the very final round of regulation at 5-7. So they're probably still feeling all right when you consider the potential reputation gap that comes in between those two teams, and obviously why Oxygen were able to take that victory. But needless to be said, ladies and gentlemen, we are getting into the matchup now. Let's get in game. It's going to be the Sonics going up against Disrupt. Both these teams are fighting for a spot in the US Major Qualifier, and the winner's going to get it. So let's see who will end up coming out on top at the end of this best of 3.
Well, this should be a lot of fun. Let's jump right into Villa. So jumping through the ban phase here for our initial ops. See what Disrupt wants to get off the board. They're going to be starting out on defense here, and they'll remove the Habana.
Going to be taken out, not necessarily following the usual trend that we have of the Maverick and Thatcher combo, but Habana oftentimes will interchangeably be swapped in for Maverick on a map-to-map basis, and this time we're actually just going to see both of those hard breachers knocked out. So Thatcher's still going to be in play here, but you're only going to have the one option for hard breachers due to the fact that Ace, of course, is still locked out since he's a new operator.
Also, My Band coming in alongside the Maverick for the Sonics. Like this choice, we've been seeing My Band out quite often on Villa just because of the places you can put all those discs.
we should also bring up, because there's not going to be any echo bans that will happen over the course of this series, there is a gentleman's agreement right now between the two teams to not play echo. So he, assuming that both teams follow that agreement, is also going to be soft banned for this.
Yeah, very fair and balanced operator, I'd say, if both teams are saying that they're just not going to play it outright. Just nope, just not going to play it. But we are going to be going to Aviator Games first here, which is the standard way that this is set up. But they're going to be bringing a Mira here, which is something that we don't see too often anymore.
All right, well, let's see how exactly that will shift from there. Mira's actually going to get swapped out, so we're not going to have that Mira in just yet. Interestingly enough, we're also not going to have a Thatcher this time, as that's going to get 6 picked out over towards a Jackal, and Super's going to pick that up instead.
Not a bad choice, especially to help with the roam clear here, but we'll have to see if Disrupt even brings any. They do have quite a few operators that they could possibly roam off of site with, specifically the Jaeger and the Valkyrie, but we've seen teams do some very precarious things before with things like Rook and Doc, so we'll keep you guys updated on that one. But we are going to have some soft destruction done here by Disrupt to hold down Study. When it comes to this, we might see an attack from Soniqs over on that Master side, though.
Besides that, everything going to look pretty straightforward. Here we still do have the soft wall on the one rotation from Study, but we'll be figuring out if all that's even going to be relevant, as the Soniqs just said that they might need a rehost, so they're going to see if... Okay, never mind. They've called it off, so that's all going to be good. So we can talk about this. That left wall, is that reinforced? Could we actually take a closer look at that, the other side? Okay, so that is just the one half. Thought that was a little weird. They left both soft, but I just couldn't see it properly, so never mind on that.
Yeah, it makes a nice little area to be able to hold down Study as well as help out Retro or anything of the sort, but that looks more like Retro's creating holes for Toxic Babes later on if the execute is for planes.
Other than that, Shuttle is going to get himself off to a pretty good start for Disrupt's defensive efforts. A hop out, I believe, to get that as well. Catches Super right on the rappel to try to get up onto the Study balcony and eliminates him. Takes out any of that anti-roam potential, too, with a rocket that you normally don't see making that aggressive run out. So a nice play from Shuttle there.
Good rotations made downstairs as well from Iconic. You guys can see the amount of soft destruction done between these two areas. Now aware of someone on top of the hatch and Study. That's the Maestro of Shuttle, stuck in place, but now prone. Hasn't been down just yet. And unlucky enough for Iconic, no more frag grenades on that kit, so just throw stun grenades upstairs to try and annoy Shuttle, but instead he's delaying as much time as possible inside of Study.
So Iconic does have Shuttle locked down, but no way to confirm kill him as of yet. Slevin is actually going to get caught out by Nyx in the meanwhile, and Shuttle will be able to hop out from his position in the corner and take Iconic down through the floorboards. Another kill was found by NJR as well, and now easily is the only player left standing in a 1 versus 5 scenario here. Hasn't even been able to enter the building for himself personally just yet. There's very, very little chance that he's going to be able to pull off anything here, let alone get himself through that doorway while still alive. He's got at least 3 players that could peek this angle at any given moment. Tries to take the first duel over by the gun vault shield, but it's not going to happen. Another player swings out from the main stairs hall, and it's NJR to finish things off for Disrupt as they take a flawless round number 1.
Very nice setup there from Disrupt, able to shut down most of the attack from the Soniqs. And overall, a great showing from Shuttle. Instead of throwing his life away, standing up, or trying to run out of Study, just prunes on the hatch, knows that Buck can't do anything to him because there's no frag grenades, and allows his team to adapt to that situation. I really enjoyed Nyx rotating towards Master to pick up those kills from the Master window.
Yeah, really unfortunate turn of events for the Soniqs ultimately. Had some great intel about how exactly to approach it, but just never really had the means in order to properly execute upon the site itself, leaving them to get, for the most part, just cleaned up by the aggressive swings that we had coming out from Disrupt. Really good, very well-weighted aggressive pressure from Disrupt as well, never really overextending their hand too much for what would otherwise lead to some situations that could have put them in a very bad spot very quickly in the round. You know, you start things out with their Maestro getting aggressive on a window hop out and Study to start with. Piece goes down, obviously things can kind of fall apart pretty quickly from there if you lose what is normally going to be your go-to anchor for a site that early on.
Completely agree, but jumping into round 2 now, we're headed over to Trophy and Statuary. We'll see how well this goes. Retro with some soft destruction through the floor to prevent any thermites or anything of that sort. So now we're starting to see where the Habana band can have an effect. We're going to have to step over that soft destruction to do anything to the hard wall that they have now reinforced, and that could be some trouble for the Soniqs. They'll have to clear downstairs and battle the roam game of Disrupt.
Still not going to see any Thatcher brought into the lineup for the Sonics roster here either for this run through. They are just going to stick with the usual kind of straightforward attacking lineup, that the biggest variance to it being supers up. Bringing the Jackal into play for some better anti-roam, and they certainly needed it with the way that Disrupt played their aggressive style in the last round there. Just never really got a chance to use the Jackal because it was the first operator to go down, unfortunately. This time things should hopefully be a bit different. Super should have some pretty safe angles to access the map with, but he's not going to be one of the first ones to go in. It's looking like he's on drone support temporarily, while Slebin and Gomfy move in from study upstairs and clear out from the south side.
I like this clear from the Sonics. Super downstairs to see if there's any footsteps from somebody. Rotating with the Jackal. Clear upstairs with that drone push for his 2 entries. Now holding the rotate. Very nice setup here from the Sonics. Only a minute off the board as well, and they're making good progress. But Nyx, such a dangerous man, rotates to the bottom of red and gets the first kill for the round.
Nick's going to get himself into a pretty good position to try and find another kill.
Oh my God.
Oh, never
Super.
mind. Going to be a little harder to get that third one, at least. I thought the second one was going to be difficult because he had been Jackal scanned, but no, not the case. Still manages to take out Super in that situation. It's Iconic that comes in through Mudroom that is finally able to trade him out and take care of
It's the
Nyx.
best Jackal counter I've ever seen.
Just swing him. And headshot him, apparently, is the answer.
Absolutely. Well, Drone's now trying to pick up the pieces here for the Sonics, but the damage has already been done by Nyx after those 2 huge frags. And the thing about it is he was really only playing downstairs for that Nitro Cell potential, but now DG have free reign to take this round fully into their control. They still have the downstairs presence by Shuttle as well as NJR, so this makes the job much more difficult for Easily with that hard destruction.
Still a minute left to go here, so not necessarily the end of the road for the Sonics just yet, but they are going to need to start getting some control very quickly. And there's still a few dangerous players in the mix as well. Most notably, Shuttle from down below can have some very dangerous rotates in the late round. In fact, he may be working on one right now as Slebin and Easily have opened up an avenue of attack from both sides of the sites. In fact, they've got a pretty clean bill in order to get this diffuser onto the ground. They'll start to take care of some of the assets on site. But like I said, those rotates from down below are on their way up quickly. But the problem for them now, Sonics seem to be in positions to be ready for it, but not the case, at least when it comes to Iconic. He's immediately run over by NJR. Brings it down into an even 2v2. Another find is found, though, from Easily. He's able to take out Shuttle, and that leaves just NJR, the rookie, in the 1v2 scenario. Not going to be able to clutch it out this time. Slebin takes him out. Sonics get their exchange. We're going to be tied at 1-1. And Super will call for a rehost, so we're more than likely going to pause for a sec here.
Very nice adaptation there from the Sonics. Amazing round, especially for that clear upstairs. Instead of attempting to clear the roam game with the Valkyrie and the Jaeger downstairs after those big kills, instead they converged on one area, ended up taking the actual site, getting those 2 entry kills and getting a diffuser down. There was no pulse or anything down there for immediate intel, which could have helped them out in that situation, but they assumed the Valkyrie Camlers were enough. Just did not end up being the case. So now at the 1-1 split, Disrupt going to have to be more on the ball in those situations for those mid-round adjustments.
Yeah, like you said, mid-round adjustments, honestly just a matter of like rotation timings at the end of the day there. They get caught out and unfortunately aren't ready for the push onto the site. That comes in a little bit early from the Sonics on that round. Had members of Disrupt been able to realize that and rotate the 2 players that were initially downstairs back a little bit earlier in order to avoid those initial picks, things probably would have ended up going in their direction, but that did not end up being the case. We saw, like you said, the pretty flawless execute actually from the Sonics that ends up going in from both Astro along with out from the main red 90 push into Astro, or into I think it was Trophy itself. With those 2 going so well, there wasn't really much of an option left for the 2 roamers downstairs to try and work their way back up and go for the retake, even though they opened up at least one angle to play off of there. Just not enough for NJR to try and win the 1v2 off of, unfortunately.
Even with the small sample size that we have right now with only 2 rounds being played, it seems that this series is going to be about those mid-round adjustments, though. I mean, looking back to the first round, we saw the Sonics get stuck simply with Shuttle just being on a hatch inside of Study. Didn't know how to get around it, didn't have the utility to be able to shake him from that position. And fast forward to the very next round, and we're talking about how 2 huge kills happen from Nyx downstairs. We don't think the Sonics can possibly reclaim, and instead they just attack directly onto site, clear out both of the remaining members on site, and are able to get a diffuser down. So I definitely see this as more of mental warfare than anything right now.
Definitely going to be a series where we see a lot of these players trying to take bits and pieces apart from the other side's strategy as well. Like you had just said, going off that last round, that's pretty much a perfect example of it. They realize that there's heavy roam presence, and they're able to counter it out for the most part by being able to counteract that roam presence, mainly by ignoring it, mainly by working their way around it and being able to go directly for the execute on the upstairs site. So that'll end up playing out pretty well into their favor. As you said, though, it's a very small sample size right now, so we don't know how well or how badly that is going to continue to be a theme in this matchup here, especially for the Sonics who are on attack right now. So they obviously have to do a little bit of the most of that, seeing as they're the ones that control the pace of these rounds.
Well, as we're waiting to get into round 3 here, I'm eager to see what the Sonics are going to bring to the board when it comes to this Jackal pick. We've seen Super pick it twice now. Hasn't had the most impact. Has been able to get one scan down, though, but immediately got killed after it. So not the best bang for their buck just yet. We could see an adjustment to possibly something like Nomad or something to hold those flanks instead of going for that roam clear, because the roam clear hasn't worked out for them the best so far. But again, we could see them pop off, especially after this rehost.
Super pretty commonly goes for Nomad picks too, if my memory serves me correctly, so that wouldn't be out of character for him to try and do that. He's got I think a pretty good preference for her guns as well, so he's got a good comfort pick in backing up to her if he needs to.
We actually don't have any Nomad mains on the Sonics. This is something that actually Jesse and I were talking about, I believe, 2 weeks ago. We wish we could see like the top 3 operators for each person on offense and defense. It could definitely help out a lot with stuff like this, but Super's most played operator is actually Thermite right now.
He was, I just remember he was talking on Twitter yesterday about like he was giving praise to her AK about it being like one of the easiest guns to use, or like the smoothest gun or something like that. So to be fair, I just kind of made an assumption based off that and what we have seen here in the NAL so far for the first couple
She's
weeks.
definitely one of the most used operators, and the Sonics have definitely been utilizing her, as have everyone else. I mean, she's honestly the best operator on offense right now when it comes to really anything. She has all the utility in her kit to be able to support yourself, whether it be, clearing through and watching your own flank or what have you. Nomad has those tools, and it's definitely something a lot of teams want to utilize. But now we're back into it, folks, and we're going to be headed back to Trophy Statuary for Disrupt. They want to run it back, and Super bringing the Jackal once again.
Yeah, like we were talking about right as that round had ended, really just a matter, from Disrupt's perspective, it should have just been a matter of bad timings on rotates for those 2 roamers. As long as they can patch that up, this should be a pretty easy fix for them, especially if a player is able to pop off in the early round here and pick up a double right at the start as well. Even if it's just a 2-for-1 trade, that put them in a pretty good spot. They unfortunately just lost that advantage due to not rotating back in time.
Yeah, well, also with the Sonics, and obviously where they had the diffuser at in whose hand, they have it, I believe, in Easely's hand. Let me see. Oh, we just rehosted, so I can't see who ended up putting that plant down.
I think it was Easily.
I believe it was in the Thermite's hands there, and since it was in Easely's hands, they were able to go for that push instead. If it happened to be on one of the roamers or one of the clears from the Sonics downstairs on one of the entry operators, then they could have possibly been in some trouble. But overall, really good utility use and great objective placement by the Sonics.
All right, well, we've got the Sonics out on the board. Hopefully they got that little sound glitch with Iconic fixed, and it's not going to be bothering them once again. We'll see how they're going to be able to approach this one. Seeming like pretty much the same notes being hit on the opener here. You got those 3 players approaching south side. Super more likely just going to drone in through the side windows, as he's already doing right now, and the other 2 will work their way in from study. Actually, Super's got a drone in a pretty peculiar spot to spot out Nyx, but Nyx just realized it, so he's going to have to fall back and play into the next room here. But Super's just going to send in his second drone and act as actual clear now here for Slevin and anyone else that's going to move in from the south side with him.
I really like this play here from the Sonics just because of how they're using that drone utility to clear out the bottom floor and then put Super inside with that Inox sensor to be able to track anyone that's roaming downstairs. So they're just putting a touch of pressure on Disrupt to back up so that they can get the intel to later use for themselves, so that the entries have constant intel on that roamer moving around the map.
First minute of the round is gone, of course, so Sonics, I would imagine, are going to start getting a little bit more aggressive at this point. They've also got full south building control gained for themselves, the only exception to that being that initial first floor red stair area where you still have one of the members of Disrupt messing around, I think, over on the inside of the White Tarps room, where NJR is currently hiding out at. There you go. Going to be hiding right over there, waiting to see if he'll catch any chances to pick up any of the members of Sonics as they'll run around, but Sonic seem to once again be avoiding that roaming pressure pretty nicely. There's not much of a threat to anyone on the Sonics right now. If Disrupt's roam presence stays in its current position, they're mainly going to have to position themselves for either, active assist or actively trying to deny the take itself by rotating up the stairs late, or work on retake. Iconic with a great find, just finds Reed right out in the open when he pops open the window, so he'll take that one for free. And that'll finally be the first kill on the round after 2 minutes of a lot of generally passive posturing here by the Sonics. That's going to seem to change quite drastically as their second is also picked up by Gomfi, who was able to swing to the inside of Trophy and open up a plant opportunity for Super.
Great play here from the Sonics, but now they have to confirm it. It's a whole barred take here from Disrupt, straight up Astro's stairs, but already a trade here as Easley's holding it down. Nyx and NJR the last two that remain, but NJR now in a pretty sticky situation. The Sonics shut it down after what seems to be an amazing take. Just clear the site once again. Don't have to worry about the roamers at all.
You can see Disrupt are relying like really heavily on Astro in order to rotate back up and get themselves into a good position to help out on the take or in some sort of post-plant position. But those last two rounds, Sonics has had full control of Astro every single time, and that's been a major key as to why DG just have not been able to rotate those roamers back and actually have them be of assistance on the site take. It's been a bit unfortunate for them as they haven't been able to figure out a good way to counter that yet. There was one player that was, I think it was NJR that was like looking at maybe trying to rotate up red stairs, but that didn't end up being the right option for some reason as well. So they're kind of at a loss right now about how to get back up to that site appropriately, and it's going to lead to them going into a different site entirely now for their next round.
I completely agree with you, and I think the thing to notate downstairs is that they've set up that roam game to be supported from upstairs. We saw a lot of angles that had a possibility of being held by those players through either vertical play or through the skylight or what have you, and their main game plan is for the Sonics or whoever the offensive team is to clear kitchen. They want them to do that so they can delay as much time as possible, and it wasn't even the fact that they didn't delay enough time. There was a minute and 30 seconds while we were on NJR standing inside of tarps, but Sonics already had all the intel upstairs and decided to go for the execute. They didn't have any true intel to help them on that site, and that's more than likely why we're seeing the change here with that pulse, as well as we're on a different site.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll end the fourth round. It's now begun for itself. The actual loadout here should be pretty simple for the defensive effort, especially on upstairs. The reinforcements are going to look pretty much what we would expect for a defense on this site, but that's the key. We're not defending this site. Defenders do still, however, have to hold these rooms, as if not, it's very easy for the Sonics to take them and use them to completely overwhelm the downstairs hold. Certainly how top-down play works. Top is usually going to end up with the better advantage, especially in an aggressive situation there, although that's not always the case, so just keep that in mind. Either way, got the members of DG spread out across both floors right now. Shuttle holding on an extended hold in the living room, but he has been spotted out, whether he knows that or not. They've also noticed, of course, that hatch is going to get blown, as Iconic's drone was sitting on the potted plant that's hanging just in the middle of the living room there.
Well, Sonic's working the map in a very similar fashion to how they attacked a Trophy and ended up picking up those last two rounds. But obviously now the site is dining in kitchen. Clearing upstairs, though, could prove to be very difficult. Have Iconic back on that window, so we'll see if we have a mirror to what we saw the last round, punching this and able to kill Reed, but this time it's Nyx, and it seems that Shuttle and Nyx are both ready for Iconic to get aggressive on this window, but Iconic waiting for the rest of the Sonics to actually execute.
Kind of easily getting dropped, actually, I think, by NJR. By the way, he's going to be able to finish him off as he runs out, takes him down. Don't know if they got confirmation that the diffuser was out there or not, but they're not really going to be able to defend it, unfortunately, either way if it was outside the window. NJR just going off right now. 2 more kills picked up for him, both by Top Red. He's going to go for another one. They still have no idea where he's even playing from right now. That's the quad. Let's see if he can get the ace. Is all that's left standing in his way is Iconic. That's going to be a tough target, to be fair, but the ace is certainly in the future for Iconic. Well, first of all, if he can get through this window. Oh. But secondly, if he can take out our other opponent from Disrupt, who's currently got 4 kills. Reed's going to get in his way first, though, and more than likely be able to take him down.
Yeah, and that's the difficult thing when you're playing against a Pulse as well, is there's almost a constant bead on you and pressure exerted from the rest of the squad. Great round there from Disrupt to shut down the take of the Sonics, stop them in their tracks on that south clear.
Very, very well played indeed. And now this is going to take us into one of our last rounds of the half. Both teams incredibly even, certainly following the storyline that we expected for this match of anticipating it to go to all 3 maps and be very, very close in that process. So far, that seemed to held true, as both teams have been in a bit of an epic battle trying to outwit each other. And at least in the last round, NJR trying to outfrag everyone else on the other team. A great hold and a great stoppage of play from him back in round number 4 there.
Okay, well, headed towards the living room library. This is a site we don't see too often, John. We've only seen it 4 times, and Villa's been played 4 times, so you're guaranteed to see it maybe once per game, if that. But for Disrupt, pretty unique setup. is required in order to make this site work. You also have to worry about that vertical pressure from upstairs inside of games. There's a lot to handle, so we'll see how Disrupt does on that. But they will be bringing the Mute and the Vigil, so we'll be looking to Nyx to make some impact on Rome.
It's definitely a workable site, though, especially for those that have spent a good amount of time being able to learn it from the defensive side of things. I've seen it work for, pretty well for teams in the past, so this site, we'll see if that holds true for the Disrupt roster after they get through this one. Of course, now with another win on the board for themselves, they're certainly going to be looking a bit better. Now trying to get at least that third round on the board before they're forced to switch sides after this. If they can make it 4, all the better. But let's find out here if they're going to be able to do that as the Sonics are once again out and about. Operator lineup bringing a lot of hints back from the previous round. Super, however, changing up his operator over to the IQ after the Jackal has proven really not to be as useful as they would have hoped it to have been in the past few rounds.
Well, looking back through those rounds, as we're warming up round 5 here, both of the rounds that Disrupt have won so far have been flawless, and those are both rounds where the Sonics had to deal with the roam game of Disrupt, whether they wanted to or not. Granted, that last round was definitely the one where they did not want to, and NJR just kind of forced his hand and killed everybody. So, but going into this round, this seems like a round where they are definitely going to have to worry about that roam game with the amount of vertical control that Disrupt has. Already quite a bit of damage done to NJR and no Doc to help him.
It's kind of interesting now that Disrupt choose not to go back to Aviation and Games after they had that unlocked them a couple rounds back as well. Might be saving that one for the 6th round if they're going to feel the confidence to close that one out with not much of a worry. Might just be keeping that one in their back pocket, basically. Iconic currently trying to dodge the upper hold from Disrupt here, as a few of them are going to be rotating around this one. Iconic constantly kind of searching for an angle against, I believe Nyx would be his nearest target, but he's actually pretty safe to move in there. Nyx got more of their troubles here as Sleben is going to try to swing against him instead, and he'll be able to take that player out. More potentially coming, however, from top red. Seems as though they've had some second thoughts on that approach, even with Nyx being brought down pretty low from that engagement.
As Sonics tend to be the aggressor on entry, almost every single one of their players on the roster that's played this season has a positive entry rating. So getting caught off guard when it comes to Disrupt on these extremely aggro swings. Nyx picking up a kill as well. So Super and the rest of the squad trying to work the upstairs still. Only 1 minute and 10 seconds left on the clock, but Iconic opens up the gate. Actually, that's two huge kills as well. That's Retro and Reed both off the, or excuse me, Nyx and Reed off the board. Maestro dead, no more control over those Evil Eyes. Sonic's in good position, but Shuttle's still upstairs. Have they misdrone this? It seems that they have. Is he aware that the Ash is close? He's not. Gomphy trades it out immediately, but NJR's there as well. Down into the 1 versus 2 now, after it was a 1 versus 3 for a split second.
Should be notable, though, NJR's got a pretty big ticket sitting at the other end of the hall, and that's going to be Diffuser, which he has control over right now. Sonics have to round back to him and pick it up. Possibly some poor timing here, unfortunately, as he's caught trying to rotate through that crawl hole, which isn't big enough to be a crawl hole, so they're going to be able to make it out with the Diffuser, and Super will find the final frag of the round, eliminating NJR and setting the Sonics up to at least tie coming off of this attacking half, if not take the lead, if they're able to secure the next one coming up right after this.
Nice overwatch over at the end there by Super, especially with how aggressive Disrupt's been playing, especially this last round. Aware of the situation and how NGR wants to apprehend that. So, grab the Diffuser, rotate in, another round for them, no plants, but actually both teams doing very, very well. The Sonics already have 2 plants. That's the only round they've won without one. We're headed towards Aviator Games. We'll see how Disrupt handles this, and possibly the Sonics with a different clear here, but haven't seen too much of a change. Super leaning back towards the Jackal instead of that IQ.
Yeah, so overall, DG had this site unlocked a couple rounds back, but chose not to immediately replay it, despite the flawless round, so it's going to be interesting to see if they were potentially trying to hide something here, or just had an overall winning strategy that they were trying to save for the final round here, as they explicitly chose not to pick this site until the very last round, bringing that one back into play pretty late into the half of themselves, despite the very solid success that they found at the very beginning of the half. Let's find out if there's going to be any differences. So far, I would read into a no on that. Things are being played pretty much the same way as they were last time.
Yeah, I didn't expect to see too much change, especially since the first time that they played games, it was flawless. So, but again, you have to remember in that round, that was our very, very first round if you guys were just joining us. And it was one off of the Sonics getting stuck at Shuttle being on top of the reinforced hatch inside of Study. So we'll see if the Sonics fall into the same trap and just get caught in one of the obstacles along the way as they clear through the map.
We are going to see a bit of a different reinforcement alignment being taken into it this time around here, as we're just going to end up with both walls that lead from Study into the site getting reinforced this time around here. But that's really the only major change up that we'll see to the reinforcements this time around. If you take a look at Sonic's approach to the attack, things are also looking pretty similar to how they took the first round, and there's no reason why you would necessarily change up that general opener for this. We're going to see NJR, first off, hold himself on the main stair, trying to fend off against the push that's coming his way from Art Studio over on the other side of the map.
And this is something as well, Iconic making a ton of rotates downstairs so that the offense can clear quicker or rotate if they are able to get some intel on somebody inside of sights and capitalize on it a touch faster. But looking to the defensive lineup, there is an outlier here, and it's actually Nyx on the Valkyrie. We've already seen him play this Opera. We've seen Valkyrie in the lineup, but he doesn't have a nitro cell. He actually ended up bringing a deployable shield, so 2 shields, no nitro here for Disrupt.
Time getting a little bit lower here for the Sonics now. Gonna start seeing them put the pressure on the NJR and force him out. And it's gonna work out pretty well. Iconic is going to be able to take him out of the picture pretty quickly, but he's not the only one holding the main stairs area. Shuttle is also around it, though. He's gonna fall back through that quick rotate hole on the left panel of the bar hold here, and then reinforce it mid-round too. It's always a little bit dodgy, but thankfully he had good distance between himself and the rest of the Sonics, so he's not going to take a major loss in trying to put that one up. The Sonics will just quickly move through and re-drone out the bar area before starting to commit themselves to 90. 90 will be found itself to be clear. Iconic's got a nade ready to be chucked out here too, just so they can try to see what's sitting around the bar itself and in the corner. Not going to be able to find any initial players. It looks like Reed took maybe a little bit of damage from that grenade, but besides that, nothing else being found. Now under a minute left for Sonics to work their way into the actual site.
Well, here's the difficult thing. Reed impact tricking inside of games right now. Last impact, is he able to get it? He is, and that means no hard destruction for the Sonics. Sub 40 seconds right now. They have to force their way into sight. The difficult thing about this is now it's all funnels. You have to win these initial gunfights, otherwise Disrupt's going to put you through the meat grinder.
Got Retro tossing out another one of those toxic gas grenades to try and fend off the bar hold here. 20 seconds left. Sonics look like they're going to try and swing hard on the game's rotate. They have Sleben working his way in from top red too, so they're hoping the capability they have to pinch on this will work out well. But no, Iconic's going to get dropped first as they start to work their way in. That's fended off the hold that's going to work its way in from top red. They were relying on that so heavily, and now they've lost it. Shuttle puts down the first player trying to pressure in. Super tries to turn it back around as he's able to get 2 for himself, but ultimately, no, not enough pressure onto that player holding top red. He's still going to be left alive at the end of the round, and they'll win it out in the timer.
Great play there by Disrupt, and good patience there by Reed, especially keeping those impacts on him for so long. Granted, he is the site player. You kind of got to stick around and wait to see what comes to you, but either way, that round was definitely his to secure. Some good utility usage there. Great patience to keep that wall locked down. The Sonics not able to win it out. I like the rotation that they made with their last 2 operators. Zofia, I know that was Sleben, but I did not see who the other man was for the Sonics, but I like the idea to try and rotate and play the top of red. Nyx was just one step ahead, and that seems that both of these teams are playing those mind games. The 4D chess is out in full effect.
All right, so sides are going to switch up, and now the Sonics get their first chance at defense. No surprise that we're going to end up back on the same site that we ended the half on. This is usually the go-to choice for teams between this site and the one on the other side of the second floor here. Once again, operator lineup and overall defensive setup for the Sonics looking pretty straightforward here. Nothing too far out of what we expect. They do have the Goyo into play for their operator lineup, which is a bit of a slight difference from what Disrupt were using. Those 2 shields are going to be placed down. It looks like one already put itself over here at the top of main stairs, and the second one, was that it right over there by the bar vault? Yeah, I think so. Or not the bar vault, the gun vault, excuse me. Yeah, that's where the second one's going to end up going down.
Yeah, blends into that door there. Just happens to both be gray. Just looks like an extension of the vault door.
Yeah. Now I'm just more thinking about what a bar vault would be. Like,
that's where you keep all the expensive stuff, I'm going to assume.
That's the top shelf vault is what that is.
Now I want to go to a bar that has a vault.
Yeah, I know.
Speaking of things that are monotonous, I was watching the earlier game on Villa. And there are a crap load of rugs. They are not wrong. There are so many rugs on this map. I actually went into a T-hunt and tried to count all of them, but they
are
figured
like
them
the
out.
same texture too.
Yeah, I roughly estimated it's like anywhere from like $10,000 to $15,000 worth of rugs. Could you imagine
There's
that?
3 of them in the shot right now. They're all the same texture. I just realized that.
The map devs are gonna hate us. These are gonna be changed next patch.
No, that third one in aviation is like slightly longer. Actually, I just realized that they extended the texture out like another 2 or 3 repetitions.
Oh man, you're talking in languages I don't understand, John. I'm not that inclined to coding.
It's half the stuff I'm saying is probably not the correct like phrasing for it anyway. So
I'm also very dumb when it comes down to it. But you know what's not dumb? Slebin killing Shuttle. What a shot. Threads the needle through that staircase and ends up killing Shuttle in the process. So Zofia off the board, and that's actually quite a big deal. No concussions, no impacts. Can't help with any vertical play either if they ended up wanting to utilize those impacts for that. But it's immediately traded back here, and oh my goodness, utility usage from Nyx onto the main staircase. Slebin gets taken out. It's always poetic justice when Jaeger ends up getting naded.
Comfy going to continue to look through the floorboards here to see if anyone else from Disrupt might peek through it and whether he'll get himself an easy chance for a kill. There is still a player that's trying to work themselves past Gomfy's position as well. That's going to be Nyx trying to work himself in from the main doorway. So Gomfy's got another chance to pick up a kill here as long as he positions himself right. You can see the silhouette slowly creeping towards him. Oh, he is going to get dropped, not killed though. So more than likely someone from Disrupt should be able to round back and bring Nyx back up into the fight. That's exactly what's going to happen now by NJR.
Some fantastic poking here from the Sonics. Not having to kill anyone, but definitely doing damage where it needs to be done. NJR and Nyx both quite damaged. Granted, the Sonics are still at a man disadvantage, but with only 37 seconds remaining, Disrupt needs something to give. They do still have hard destruction, but that might be the nuclear option here, as Study is set up to be quite difficult to attack. Retro with a refrag, though, into 90, takes out easily, and now it's all left up to Gomfy on the door. He's looking for the swing, able to down one, kills the Ash, but the hard destruction's going down behind him. Nitro Cell as well, but it gets stuck in the wall, but now there's some hard destruction where he can play even closer. Chooses to swing it, switches over to the SMG-11, now prone inside of the breach here on Bar, but it's only 5 seconds. Retro with a triple, Super with a Nitro, sails through the air, picks up one, and Super! 2 turns, locks down round 7.
It's a great follow-up play by Super in the 1vx situation. Like we said, gets the flyaway Nitro Cell kill and already has the intel on the Thermite, pushing himself into the site itself. And was able to line up that pre-fire to take him out of the fight and give his team the lead, now leading at 4-3. Immediately, we'll see them shift over to Trophy Statuary following the usual trend of sites. They've taken a successful first-round victory over on Aviation.
For disrupting that last round, I didn't even think it was really the adaptations that they made were poor. It was just that Gomfy played that so well when it came down to it. He delayed a lot of time, especially after the breach was open. Botched the Nitro Cell, but you know, didn't get too frisky, didn't accidentally blow himself up or panic. Played that out perfectly. And the Sonics, what a great round for them, delaying so much time. And as I was saying before, continuously poking Disrupt. And I think that was the true cause for that round going into the Sonics pocket.
Well, with the Sonics now having control over the matchup, it's up to them to try and dictate the game from this point forward here. Disrupt going to be working from the back foot, so the pressure will start to build up a little bit more for them as they try and come back against this loss pretty quickly and get themselves onto better footing. And we are going against, like we said, the other site here. We're going to the Trophy and Statuary defense, so Disrupt have got a lot of options about how they want to play their attack. Sonics had a really great strategy for being able to win rounds on this site. Now it's up to the Disrupt to see if they can bring anything close to what the Sonics were able to accomplish in the last half.
I like seeing Super pop off right now as well. This is usually a player that we don't see do too much. He's usually a utility-based player where you'll be seeing him put the diffusers down, hard breach, anything of that sort. And you can definitely tell from his stats this season that has been the case. But inside of this Villa game, he's starting to pop off. Currently 6-1 with a objective play as well. And I'm assuming that's going to be the plant there. I can't exactly remember. Well, Disrupt actually didn't end up getting diffuser down, so it's definitely got to be a plant from those previous rounds. But I like seeing the impact from Super here. This is something that we don't see too often.
And of course, he's going to look for more of that as he's in a pretty prime position to try and pick up some kills if in the event that Disrupt take the usual execute route. We're going to start to see them move in towards that just about now here, as Nyx will be the first one to hop in through Master Closet, and JR is also taking the Master Bedroom in the meanwhile, and Nyx is just going to start taking out the wall, the safe wall on the right side of walk-in. That will give him access to the bathroom as well and allow him to start working out into Astro, which would give him that first point of contact against Super. Still holding pretty confidently in the back corner right now, waiting for his chance to try and frag out again.
Oh, very condensed setup here from Disrupt right now. Most of their ops inside of the closet Master, all except for NJR. And we've seen him do these solo clears before up Pantry Staircase, most notably with that Jackal on the PDW that we saw in that OXG game the last time that we're here. We'll see if he's as successful. They do have vertical play towards the triple wall for Statue, and that's more than likely what Disrupt's worried about and having NJR clear. But they do have some intel. There's a Goyo shield here, and ADS eats up some of those stun grenades. But since Wamai is banned, there's going to be plenty to go around for utility on the offense to clear things.
So Goyo shield now gone, was used to try and allow Super to take an aggressive peek, but now that the ADS behind it is gone, it's no longer safe for him to occupy. So he did have to fall back to the inside of Trophy and wait out the actual push from DG, as they were eventually going to throw that frag to take him down. Just a smart early maneuver coming in from him to get out of there. Drone's going to clear it out and allow for NJR to also work his way up through Astro Stairs, and in a moment, DG should be in pretty confident shape to swing. However, that confidence is going to immediately swing itself away from them, as we are going to see the gas grenade go and block off their path. NJR is in the process of trying to eliminate Easily, so they don't have to worry about that, but Easily knows they're sitting right here, so he's going to block it off again anyway, and now have an opportunity to start shutting things down, both Easily and Slevin, finding a total combine of combination of 4 kills here, and soon it's made 5, with Iconic coming into play. The final impact grenade kill.
If I could use a bleach button right now.
Oh, he actually killed him with it too.
Gotta catch them all. There you go.
I thought he was just down, then he finished him.
No, he pokeballed him. Straight up pokeballed him. Great gameplay there. But the Sonics, what a defensive round from them, and great adaptation to what Disrupt was doing. Disrupt didn't take map control at all. The only thing that they really took was Master. There was not much of a roam game downstairs. It was more of a vertical setup just to make Disrupt worry about anyone being downstairs. That's why we saw NJR clear so quickly, but there was no presence. No one took any damage. We didn't see too much utility exchange between the two. We just saw them clear Astro and then go for that Master wall, and that was the plan all along for the Sonics. Simply play impact grenades there with Iconic, get rid of those 2 exothermic charges, and this is where we are seeing the impact of that Hibana ban here on this map. With Hibana, you're able to put her X Cairo so low on the wall that the impact's radius cannot affect that hard destruction. But with the exothermic charges, you can. You can't put them all the way towards the ground, unless actually inside of this situation, I don't know if that could possibly be an adaptation that they could possibly use. But with even thinking through that thought process, the soft destruction that they use on the floor would more than likely prevent that.
5 seconds left.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, so into the next round we will go. Disrupt have inched themselves closer and closer to trying to get into a good position to win out one of these attacking rounds here, but not been able to get the job done as of yet. We are going to be looking at the Sonics continuing to soar with their lead. 5-3 overall. Just 2 more rounds separate them from ultimate victory, and now they've moved over to the downstairs sites here to try and win out from these. Bit of an extended hold from the Sonics as well. Iconic, in fact, already taking some damage as a result of this, as he tries to wiggle his way out into a peek against the players that were trying to move in for Mudroom, but Retro ends up getting the better of that and knocks off at least a little bit of the HP from Iconic. Ultimately, though, Slevin's on the dock, so he can just stim him right back up.
The angles, John. Do you see the amount of soft destruction through these boards and such for these 2 operators playing inside of Living Room? This is a beautiful setup from the Sonics. Really appreciates something fresh. I haven't seen something like this personally quite some time. We'll see how well it works out for him. Already getting some initial contact here inside of the bathroom. We'll see how quickly Disrupt are able to either dispatch this or rotate.
Comfy is going to be able to line up a nice down against Retro, and the same will be said pretty quickly for Nyx too. Sonic's aggressive hold working out, and even the player that had been down by them is also going to be revived. Now Slevin on the dock, finally going to fall, but thankfully because they got Iconic up and got those 2 stim charges into him, he's also going to be able to refrag, taking out Reed in the process. NJR, the last man standing, not for very long apparently, as Comfy is right there to support Super's death with a quick trade onto the last player alive for Disrupt. Sonics are making some quick work of this defensive half and now are going to put themselves on match point to close out map number 1.
May we see the scoreboard real quick, right, when we get to the operator lab? I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, my friend. Thank you so much. See, this is something that I was worried about coming into this matchup, is that the Sonics, overall, the roster is very good at getting those initial kills. And I mean everybody. Almost everyone on this roster, once again, has a positive entry rating. And on the opposite squad, on Disrupt, NJR does a lot of the heavy lifting when it comes to the kill category. Most of the members of DG are even, all except for NJR, which is a huge outlier when you look at the stats. He's almost in every single top 5 that CGG has to offer for stats right now as well. But that also leans towards things being a one-man show, and that's what we've seen from NJR so far through Villa. Especially on their offensive side, he's been the lone wolf trying to just get entries into sight or clear out heavy roam game, and it's not working out for them. I'd like to see them try and take these from different angles or try to force these roamers away from where they're playing and into those crossfires like we see a lot of squads do. Because right now, this is just not what's going to work.
Well, the good news is there should be a little bit less of that roaming action to worry about this time around since Sonics have gone back to aviation and games. The bad news is it is still going to be there, at least a little bit, just not in so much of an extended fashion that Disrupt will have to immediately worry about it the second they enter the building. They should have at least a bit of free real estate to work with here, and we'll find out where exactly that may prove itself to be. The round has now gotten itself started. Disrupt look like they're going to work themselves from a north to south clear to start things off, as they're going to work their way over towards Master first.
Not a bad idea here at all, but for Disrupt, the main thing is that they continuously stack on top of each other most of the time on these offensive sides, and we need to see a slight change in that. We need to see more angles being held and trying to close down onto site, cutting off those rotations. That's a huge part of the game, especially with a map like Villa, where we see quite a large condensed roam game right outside of the site, whether it be holding 90 or what have you. But there's a lot of supporting angles that like to be held on Villa near those site areas. So for Disrupt, they've already worked their way to the top of red stairs. This is that north to south clear that we were just talking about from Master. Haven't worried too much about the downstairs just yet. We did see a nitro cell go off earlier. That was iconic, trying to get a freebie inside of Statuary. Didn't work out for him though, but he still is on that roam.
This is where DG are probably going to pause for, I would guess, at least the next like 30 seconds here and try to figure out exactly what Sonics have set up for them. Because like you said, this is where they've tripped up a lot, is reaching that first point of contact against the Sonics. And oftentimes I think it has been due to a lack of intel. So they're trying to see if they can alleviate that right now. Utility is going to start to get chucked into the site. NJR included here, taking out some of the utility in the back. I don't know if he was trying to knock out the Evil Eye in the back with that, but if he was, he unfortunately missed, as it looks like the Evil Eye is still in play in the corner there. So not going to be able to isolate that out just yet. That will still be a problem as they try to push in. Boyo Shield is going to be eliminated, however, so that will slow things down for the attackers, but also gets rid of it. They won't have to worry about it on the actual attack, which should be coming up as soon as those flames fade away.
We'll see how it goes, but Disrupt already controlling quite a bit of the map. Shuttle, especially inside of the 90, could possibly cut off Sleben as he rotates back to site. They have him completely closed off on main stairs, but easily already opening things up. Reed with the refrag, able to get the diffuser back as well. Now they're going to go for the plant, and strangely enough, it's going to be NJR that goes for this. Nitro cell out, that should bag him to kill here, but no, the EMP from Reed wins it. Able to eliminate that. Iconic all over it in the Sonics. What was that? Everyone dies in the span of 2 seconds, and the Sonics win Villa 7-3.
Honestly, obviously game over at this point, but I just want to say that Thatcher spam to try and avoid the nitro cells being thrown on, that was really cool. That was a nice little thing we saw from DG at the very end of it. Sadly, did not end up working to stop the very quick retake that we had going on from the Sonics, but still just want to give a little shout out to that. The Sonics, with their, really, really great defensive half here, are going to be able to take swift control. Things started out in a much more even fashion, but the second half is just all Sonics all day.
Yeah, 4 rounds in a row for the Sonics, and it never even looked close when it came to their defense. They were definitely living in a Sonics villa. For Disrupt, though, I feel like it's the information game for them right now. You said earlier, John, that they clear quite quickly, and they want to get map pressure early and often. But when you go against the Sonics or a setup like this, whether it be, like what we saw earlier from SSG in their series, you need to get that intel to know what you're walking into. And it seemed that they were not able to do that really ever.
Yeah, we'll have to see, of course, if Disrupt are going to be able to adjust for that. Maps are going to change as we get ready to jump into our second map. So stick with us, ladies and gentlemen. When we come back, well, we're not going to be here just yet. We're going to have the analysts to break down map number 1 and get us ready for our second map in the series. Be right back, folks, in just a few.
Welcome back, I'm Jackie Jing, and I'm with Veli and Jesse, and the Sonics win on Villa, map 1, 7-3. Pretty good victory for them there, pretty strong win indeed. But let's start off talking about their defense. Jesse, I'm gonna put you in the hot seat first. You felt like they were pretty aggressive, right, Jesse?
Yeah, obviously Sonics had a perfect second half. They were perfect on defense, and I think a lot of that came down to the fact that they weren't afraid to push in certain situations. They weren't afraid to bring out some new stuff. I like that kitchen hold quite a bit, where they roamed throughout the living room and had a ton of angles opened up. I know Stokes had touched on that during the game. That was really creative and really aggressive. There were other times as well where just like Slebin pushes into some places and gets some kills, or Iconic in that last round coming in for the perfect flank. I mean, really, these are players on Sonics that aren't afraid, and it seems like, I don't know if this is intentional or if it's just Disrupt's positioning, but it seems like they're almost focusing the players that aren't NJR. And we're finding NJR oftentimes alive in the later portions of these rounds when he's on attack because, well, it's all of his teammates that are going down, right? So I think Sonics did a really good job of getting aggressive and picking their targets well.
Okay, Veli, you know, we've talked about this lineup numerous times, them coming together, getting in sync, that chemistry. They looked solid on this map. Do you feel like they're in a good place, that they're gelling?
Sonic's in a great place. Like I said, this full team is pretty incredible when you put them all together. Slebin and Gonfi, amazing additions. Super, like Stokes said, Super had his moments. Yeah, he had a 4K to really stat pad things, but other than that, I mean, he was solid. He got a clutch, which is a win. Other than that, easily. Wow, easy on Maestro is something that I love to see, and the fact that he was able to tear it up in bar and really hold back Disrupt Gaming, that was a sight to see. Everything this team is doing right now looks amazing. They look perfect. They look like this is going to be a 2-0.
Yeah, they definitely look solid. Let's talk about Disrupt a little bit. Jesse, I know that you felt like their defense of trophy statuary was questionable.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's a couple different options for Disrupt to win that game, right? One of them is just get attacking rounds, but another one would be to, like, improve their defensive half, and I felt like that defensive half was good for Disrupt. They looked strong on attack on every bomb site except for the trophy statuary bomb site, and they went there twice in the first 3 rounds, which meant they kind of locked out a lot of their other options. The big problem with going to that bomb site a couple of times in rounds 2 and 3 was that they had a lot of players downstairs, and they really heavily relied on rotating players up the Astro stairs. And it's like one player rotating up Astro stairs late in the round, like fine, even if it's being watched, you only lose 1, or maybe he'll get a kill somewhere in there. But when you're throwing like multiple bodies up those stairs, it's such a chokehold, and Soniqs recognized that pretty quickly, that okay, they're gonna have to come up these staircases, and they did a really good job of placing people there to watch that rotate up. And every time they attacked, it was clear that the Soniqs were focusing that area of the map. Disrupt really relied on it, and just due to all those factors, it seemed like they were dying a lot in that area. So I thought that was a really good response to the hold to come in from the Soniqs.
Yeah, and the one thing I would definitely want to point out. Oh, I can't wait to talk about this.
Yes.
You know what? Let's talk about it. Forget what I was going to say.
Yes. Yeah, Veli, I was just going to ask you. I mean, NJR and Iconic, they're on your screen right now.
Yes.
Both performing quite well on this map. They're just fun to watch, Veli.
Yes.
They're just fun to watch.
And they both had just individual, just amazing plays all around. Okay, let me point out one each. My favorite play from NJR came, he had a 4K in round 4. My man loves 4s, right? He killed Easy. Okay, now as Romer's Jaeger, NJR and Jesse and I was talking about it during the game, he always has a smell for the action, right? So he runs out the master bedroom. He kills Easily, who is the only hard breacher on the lineup. So he kills him, runs back to Astronomy, kills another player outside Astronomy window, and then after that, he gets a 4K. Pretty incredible stuff from NJR. But Iconic, the one thing I love from Iconic, the man never stops moving. He had an amazing play for his team as well, where he was able to kill Reed. And it was definitely one of the Astronomy sites where Iconic opened it up by killing Maestro, taking him off the board, the most important operator for the first kill in the round. And just the fact that he's able to get in and get a kill so fast is something that both of them do extremely well.
Yeah,
it's incredible. The type of aggression both of these young players are showing, you don't really see it from anyone else. I mean, Fold, Smirk, the rest of these entry fraggers, they're explosive, but just the way NJR and Iconic throw their bodies into action to be able to find those 1v1s and win them, it's not a 50-50 when they get into fights. It's like they always have the upper hand, and that's scary.
And they've got such a fun rivalry going on too. I had
great.
a chance to talk to a couple of them like just a few weeks ago, and I talked to NGR. I was like, you know, how do you feel about going against Iconic? And he was like, yeah, you know, we're former teammates. It should be a really fun game, and I'm excited to go up against them. And then I talked to Iconic as well, and Iconic was like, yeah, I mean, it's not going to be a contest really. I'm going to slam him. So like, it was fun. It was fun to talk to both those players. Obviously, they have a lot of love and respect for each other because they are former teammates, but it's really fun seeing them go against each other in the server.
Yeah, we love the little rivalry there, and all eyes on those young gunners. And actually, our community poll result was who's gonna pop off in this one, NJR or Iconic, and NJR got 63%, Iconic got 37%. But both of them doing quite well on that map, so can't wait to see how they do on the next one. So really quickly, predictions, gentlemen. What are we thinking for map 2? Veli, I'll start with you.
Still, Soniqs won the first map. They're going to win the second map. This is it. Soniqs, they look more like a complete team right now. I don't know what it is with Disrupt Gaming, but if NJR isn't popping off, we didn't really expect much from Shuttle or a lot of other people on that team. I really love Nick's attempt, but they still need more people to step up, excuse me. So I'm taking Soniqs.
Okay. Jesse, what about you?
Yeah, Coastline scares me for Disrupt Gaming, and it was DG's pick, but this has been a strong map for the Soniqs so far this season. Even back in Pro League Season 10, this was one of Sonic's stronger maps, and it's hard to, you know, that's a long stretch of time, but still, I think that this is a really good map for the Soniqs, and so Disrupt hopefully have something up their sleeves, and we can push this to a Game 3, but yeah, I think that this map, more than the last one, does favor SQ.
All right, map 2, Coastline, Disrupt versus the Soniqs. How's it going to turn out? Don't go anywhere. You'll find out. We have a quick break. We'll be right back.
Welcome back once again, ladies and gentlemen, to the Sonics versus Disrupt Gaming here, one of our closing matches for the first stage of the US division of the NAL. My name is Blue. Joining me here on the cast is Stokes. And for the second map, we're about to jump onto Coastline, which I think is going to be potentially even more exciting than the last map. We've had a lot of very crazy, very aggressive plays, and I think Coastline is a map that allows teams to play into that if they would like to, even further so. So when it comes to Disrupt's own defensive side and Sonics, I think we can look for some pretty exciting things in this matchup. I don't know about your thoughts on this one,
I
Stokes.
completely agree with you, especially after what we saw last map with Disrupt and how aggressive they were on offense. Granted, it didn't work out very well for them, but Coastline is a map that that playstyle is a lot more effective on. This is a map that a lot of people refer to as the TDM map. You don't need hard destruction necessarily. We still see it played sometimes to be able to handle things like ink and such, but that's Coastline. So Disrupt walking into this up against the Sonics. I want to see what Sonics can produce on offense. I'm very scared of what they're going to do on defense, though, especially after their setups on Villa. Disrupt are going to have to do better on that intel game.
Well, thankfully for Disrupt, they won't have to worry about the issues on attack so much so, at least not at the start of the map, because they're starting out on defense. This also means that they will get the first and final operator bans. Let's see who they're going to knock out here. Their first choice will be, they're going to knock out, well, Habana once again. So same as the last map. Nothing too different there. She's by far the most viable hard breacher on this map when you compare her to the other two. So that's going to be a pretty straightforward choice to knock her out over the others. Thatcher will be eliminated this time. So we're also going to have that caveat for the attackers to work with on this map.
All right, well, Hib, Thatcher off the board. Let's get into those defensive bans now, and it's going to be the Valkyrie banned out from the Sonics. Don't want to deal with it. We didn't see too much IQ played last map. We saw them leaning quite heavily on the Jackal for Super, which ended up begging them quite a few kills. So, Disrupt, last ban here. It's going to be Wamai, so no Wamai gameplay through 2 maps.
Just trying to help out a little bit with the utility dump meta and trying to reduce the amount of utility you actually have to dump there. It's been a pretty common trend that we've been starting to see happen more and more between both him and Jaeger. I think Wamai definitely tends to be the preference of those two, probably for a few reasons. One, Jaeger's been in the game for a lot longer, so people are probably a lot more comfortable with him. And two, he's just, I think it's a little bit easier to kind of set things up at the start and then forget about it in the event that that player goes down in the mid-round.
Okay, well, Kitchen Service, the first site here for Disrupt, and they're confirmed on the alibi. They can't 6-pick anymore. Not a bad operator at all, especially with the site that they're going to. Lots of areas that are pre-fired pretty often by the offense, and more than likely a lot of intel to gain here with that alibi.
Probably one of the maps where she ends up working a lot more due to the freedom that the defenders are given on this map, generally speaking, and the heavy roam play that works into it. Top that off with the amount of like open crossplay between rooms that happens. It's not too uncommon to see at least a couple shots, even if they're by accident, go off onto the prismas. So the utility does get a decent amount of use on this map, sometimes, at least when compared to the general usefulness of it on the other maps, I think.
Well, soft destruction for the kitchen wall, as well as a mirror setup inside of kegs. Liking the setup from Disrupt so far. We'll see how well the Sonics are able to attack into it. We'll have the Lion pick. That's rudimentary when it comes to Coastline. We see him played quite often. Definitely helps with entry frags when it comes down to clearing those roam games.
And on top of that, we have the Jackal being played as well. So very anti-roam here on the Sonics. Very information-focused as well when you consider the combination of those two that could kind of combine their forces in the late round. That can be a very powerful combo if used properly. That's going to be the key to this because of the fact that DG, at least going off of the last map, have shown themselves to be a team that's going to play very aggressively in the early rounds from the defensive side. Sonics need to try and get as much intel as possible as early on as possible so that they can either find the counters to those players and eliminate them, or do what they were doing in some rounds in the last map and box them out entirely, prevent them from being able to rotate back to the site and assist, and then be able to play out the execute from that point forward.
Well, very happy that the Sonics brought that intel lineup because they're definitely going to need it for this one, aren't they? Quite a few holes and lines of sight made here for Disrupt on the defense. Sonics going to have to battle through this with that intel once again. So already have a drone inside of sight, easily actually staring down Retro behind the shield on the A-bomb chassis right now. Not too much of a clear upstairs just yet, though. This is very reminiscent of Disrupt attempting to attack Kitchen Dining last map, but we'll see how well the Sonics do now that they are on their back foot on this intel clear. Still have to worry about everyone upstairs as well, and it seems that Disrupt have made quite a few angles to support their anchors.
Half the round gone by. No clear against NJR just yet. Sonic seem to be focusing a lot more on moving in from the double bars and then just trying to get kitchen access from that point. As far as pressure just coming from the east side of the map in general, you've got Super outside of the service entry, but besides that, really not a whole lot. So once again, it seems like the Sonics are going to try and avoid the roaming pressure that's on the larger extensions of this map, like in places like upstairs, and try to go directly for the site take itself. Now, in the last map, the orientation ended up working itself out in their favor. I don't know if that's going to be the case for this specific attack, since the players on Disrupt still have upstairs control, and they can very easily cull the bodies down if they try to move in while there's still top-down pressure from Disrupt themselves.
Oh, Sonics. Full take from Sunrise, pushing towards the east. They want to clear lobby right now. It's up to Gomfy. Can he possibly get the man that hops the desk? He didn't see it. Oh no. That's going to be Reed still sticking alive, but he rotates back quickly, thwarted by Slebin on the rotate. Susquehanna Sonics coming alive here. Iconic as well, still inside of Sunrise. Easily with the diffuser. Currently laying next to the counter, but it doesn't even matter. The Sonics all over the situation from almost every single angle. What a great round from them.
Nyx thought he could get sneaky there with that final drop after Slevin had run by, but not the case. Slevin doubles back there and finishes things off nice and quickly. So the Sonics get themselves off to a good start on the attacking half of Coastline here, and now get a chance to move it even further. Thankfully, that pressure from NJR upstairs ended up not being a massive detraction from the overall attacking strategy on the Sonics due to how swiftly they were able to clear out the front lobby players and then crunch the site from that point forward. Solid play from them gives them the lead, and now we get to see how it builds up as Disrupt will not be reattempting the same site. Instead, they're going to go for double bars.
What great information game from the Sonics. They didn't even deal with the upstairs at all, really. They just attacked into the actual kitchen area and were able to kill all of the site players. And this seems like a Sonic favorite, at least for this this series here between these two. Disrupt just not able to rotate back to site, and that's multiple times at this point now. We saw it at least twice there on Villa. So we'll see if the Sonics continuously just hit site and make it work.
Beyond that, the overall defensive setup here for Disrupt is going to look pretty straightforward for a bar defense. Got the usual reinforcements going up on the two walls. Like they should be at least one rotate here from Disrupt between the two sites. And then you've got also the footholds that have been made leading out into the courtyards that Disrupt can hold from the other side, and also retake from the other side from lobby, as well as the other areas surrounding courtyard if the need should arise for that.
Well, Disrupt. Kitchen setup here. Still have one mirror, I believe. Yep, still one mirror in hand, so we'll see where Nyx sets this up. But it's a double bar for Disrupt right now. Sonics poised and ready on the east side. We'll see if they go for the full clear here, and that's what I want to see. Looks like they want to attempt to go into kitchen here. Gomfy with the drone, easily in tandem, but he does have that diffuser as well. Don't want to misplace that, especially into the hands of the enemy. Drone in now, able to find Shuttle as well as Reeds. This is quite a bit of intel, and easily he's going to back it up with his own drone. So 2 drones down now. Disrupt still holding on, but haven't wasted enough time at all. Only 50 seconds off, Lion in, and they're all over the situation. What an angle here from Super through the kitchen wall, able to clean up 2 as Gomfy is able to pick up 1 as well, but Disrupt immediately fires back.
It's great, like you said, man, great angle control there from the Sonics on the attack. Unfortunate, though, as Disrupt is in good enough position to immediately be able to trade it back, so that puts us into a pretty much an immediate 3v3. So we're probably going to see some delay for the Sonics. I don't think they were expecting to get traded so heavily on this exchange, given the way that attack started out. And it's going to get even worse, unfortunately, for them, as Retro is also going to be able to find easily from the inside, or I should say just on the inside of the pool entry. And now with that, the diffuser is also going to go onto the ground, so that's a lengthy amount of time someone from the Sonics is going to have to spend to go way over there and retrieve it. That's if they're not just going to play together here and try to go for just the outright 2v3 win.
Well, they do still have quite a bit of utility. Super still has stuns in 2 of those EE1Ds. Gomfy, not much health, no drones, but a frag grenade. They have to face check all of this as well, since Super doesn't have any drones either. Sending Gomfy across to pick up the diffuser right now, so we'll see if Retro chooses to swing once again.
So Gomfy's going to retrieve that, work his way upstairs into Hookah. And from this point forward, well, thankfully, like you had mentioned before, they've got a good amount of time to play off of. Still with about 50 seconds remaining, so Super should have a good excess amount of time in order to get himself in position to attack. He's going to be checking out blue bar first to see if anybody from Disrupt decided to play into that site. Maybe he got lucky and would have been presented with an angle to shoot one of these players with, but it's not going to happen. He'll use the second out of his third scan from the drone. Try and see again if he could catch anybody, but no reason for any of the Disrupt players to move. They're just holding their angles right now, waiting for the eventual chance to strike to come, and there it is. Nyx is going to be able to pick off Gomfi. Super's patience is somewhat rewarded as he finally does get a duel versus a player in blue bar. Unfortunately, it's not into an advantageous spot, and when Super tries to swing in a kitchen, Retro is going to be able to finish him off, giving the second round over to Disrupt.
Great early round presence there from the Sonics. Love the setup that they had to execute into kitchen and clear out that bunker setup that the defense had. But as you said before, I think it was the refrags there that the Sonics weren't ready for. Just weren't ready for DG to continuously swing to refrag those. And that continually happened all the way up till Easily was killed outside of Mudroom. So we'll see if Sonics change up the game plan as we're actually going into Penthouse Theater. This is a site that we don't see too often on Coastline. Actually only has 2 plays right now through 3 separate maps of Coastline.
We've got a Mira, so I guess that means we've got Penthouse viability, at least for this map. Since she hasn't been banned out, which is a pretty rare occurrence, or at least in this series, it seems like she's being let in all over the place. So Nyx can have that capability to play into the Mira, which pretty much is one of the few operators which kind of allows you to play into this site successfully. It's very often banned out when this map is brought into play. That's often the reason why we don't see a lot of Penthouse. This also means that DG is going to continue down the path of kind of somewhat weird site selections. We're not going to see any hookah play from them in their first 3 sites here on defense.
Look at these reinforcements right now by Disrupt. Lots of soft destruction here. Retro actually going to shoot a line all the way through the master wall. This is something that's, well, when anyone plays this map, that's standard reinforcement there. But obviously, since this is completely different idea around it, it seems that they want the long angles, whether it be from possibly pink or luggage. We'll have to see whether they're able to make some impact, but they definitely want to be able to play this VIP area with NJR from separate areas and anchor positions with those long distance gunfights. NJR getting aggressive on the double window for VIP now. Almost gets a Capitao. Pre-fire coming through, not able to bag the kill though.
Going to be able to quickly dispatch up the drone that's thrown from the other side. And this is what's good about peeking this angle. You pretty much can always see the repelling wires here. It's not going to be in a weird position or anything like that where someone could sneak up on the side of you and you won't really be worried. Like right now, you can see how he's very easily tracing the player that's trying to work her way up the rappel. So NJR has got a pretty hard lock on this. And obviously, if anybody comes to the other side, well, he's just not peeking them right now. So he's pretty safe against those players. But he can't really swing the other direction now because they've already worked their way up. That's the problem. NJR is going to come out with a successful pick when he finally does start to swing back left. I think finds Sleben still trying to get all the way up top. And now is a chance for a second one, too, as there's another player trying to swing their way up onto the platform. I think that's going to be Iconic taking up position. It's eventually going to try and work his way in through the hallway and then isolate out NJR as his other teammate can just hop in the window and they can hopefully have 2 players pinch him at once here.
This is a very successful setup from Disrupt so far. It's only NJR inside of the actual VIP room. We don't know who could possibly be holding a longer angle, but he's delaying so much time, already halfway through the round, and the Sonics stuck for the time being. They need to figure out a course in which they can get him out, and it might be the swing here from Iconic, but it's not. NJR almost with 2, docks himself up, but easily confirms instead. Now VIP in the hands of the offense.
Great play from NJR, wastes over half the round and gets 2 players for his troubles. Easily has done his job for this round. Another EE1D scan going to work its way out for the Sonics to try and get one last check onto the players on the site itself. Shuttle, along with Nyx, are still going to hold downstairs presence, but that won't be the case for Shuttle any longer as Super has been able to work himself into the lobby and knock out the man himself. Nyx, however, on this swing is not going to be expected. Why would you? It's a Mira. He's going to work his way out from the bathrooms, take out Super. Easily upstairs is going to have some better luck in putting their team on front foot here to take control of the site. He's able to eliminate Reed. That leaves all the site defense on just Retro, as Nyx is still way downstairs in kitchen.
Oh, well, we might see it again here from the Sonics, but no, Retro wins the initial frag as well, but Gomfi immediately trades. SMG-11s everywhere, but that low mag capacity now going to run him into some hot water. Has to reload, but switches to the primary instead. Nyx at range with the Vector, but the plant's already going down. Gomfi confirming this inside of Theater. Nyx too slow to the punch. Now into the post plant. Gomfi, both weapons loaded and ready here, ready to fight the bear. Nyx already quite low on HP, but he is the 3 armor. Still has Nitro in hand, but he fakes it with the rip. Those 1v1 mind games could possibly work out here. Nitro cell over the couch, but Gomfi's already rotated to the theater door, but it's a trade. And since the diffuser's down, the offense wins. Great round there from the Sonics.
Also one of those like weird turn of events that we had towards the end of it too, where somehow we ended up with an SMG 11 versus a Vector at 90 at the end of that round, which is not something you're necessarily going to see happen very often. Very well played by both teams though, but ultimately, as you said, the Sonics just barely managed to squeak it out. Disrupt's interesting strategy, an interesting setup that allowed them to go into theater in the first place. Works out in the early round, but unfortunately the split nature of their play comes back to haunt them once again in the end game of that third round.
The crappy thing for Disrupt there is that setup seemed, let me phrase this correctly, that they were there to be able to help NJR with that VIP position, to either support him if someone hops a window and he's stunned or what have you. But there was no true support from Disrupt. It was all NJR and what he was able to accomplish inside of that room for the most part. And it felt like they would have been able to hold on to it a touch longer if he had the proper support network around him in that instance. But again, this is looking into what Disrupt could possibly be doing. But they also had the soft destruction through the actual quad wall for VIP to get some intel from that shield that they were playing inside of Penthouse as well. So quite an intricate setup. Doesn't work out for Disrupt, but did end up coming down to the trade. So we could see it once again before their defensive half is over.
In terms of the site defense, though, finally getting Disrupt onto our usual starting site for a lot of teams. And once again, we got players getting aggressive, too. Reed this time on the dock. Tries to go for a bit of a swing out hookah door. Onto the pre-fire. Is not going to find it, but hello! Here's NJR swinging from a completely different spot on the map, finding that opening kill against Iconic.
Fragged out so hard right there, he sent a band wave through. Oh my god.
I was just going to say, frag so quick, I couldn't even read him because the band wave wiped it off the kill feed.
Yeah, good night to Iconic and good night to everybody that just lost their account. Very unlucky for you guys, but lucky for anyone's MMR. The Sonics now, though, clearing out the double bar, but, well, at least one of them for the time being. It's easily, though, all by himself inside of Mudroom. Does have that diffuser. Nyx with the pre-fire rips him. DG all over this round, but NJR, the main man with the plan. 3 frags already. Granted, we've only gotten to see that initial one.
Sorry, I'm just laughing at the chat messages there. A good night followed by a you died. So... some interesting exchanges between the two teams. Gomfi alone in the 1vx here, trying to make the best possible play, but it's not going to work out. Nyx ends up taking contact for the final duel. A bit more in the face this time of the players from Disrupt, but Disrupt are ready to take that challenge. They shut it down and finally claim another round for themselves as they tie us up at 2-2.
All right, well, Kitchen Service, our very next site here. Going into this one. Don't have too much over that last round. It was truly the NJR show, and we didn't get to see too much of it. We got to see the initial kill, but he definitely got the rest of his frags. Eventually getting traded out, though. But for the Sonics, it's simply just gunfights. That's truly what it came down to. It wasn't the fact that they cleared incorrectly or used utility incorrectly. It was just simply some people are, better with the guns in that moment.
It's back to the basics here for their friends on Disrupt as they're going to head into Kitchen and Service where they started this map off once again and see if they can come out on top with another victory for themselves. The players on the Sonics, it's same thing going to be that similar operator lineup, bringing both the Jackal and the Lion to the table in order to properly deal with the roaming presence from Disrupt. So we've got a lot of that back in the picture too. Between NJR, Reed, and Shuttle, we can expect quite a bit of mid-map roaming to be going on here this round from Disrupt.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I wanted to talk about as well, is how effective is this roam game going to be from Disrupt? It seems that they've ramped up the aggression to try and get those early kills, whether it be from spawn killing or just trying to battle, the doors or windows that go immediately to the outside. We'll have to see. That's definitely what it was the last time, but for the Kitchen hold that they had previously, we just didn't see any rotations from the roam game to be able to help their anchor players. So that's definitely something that Disrupt's going to have to work on if they want to win this Kitchen defense.
Yeah, it seemed like Disrupt was relying on that hatch drop into lobby in order to get their upstairs players back into the action should Soniqs have chosen to do what they did and pretty much ignore that upstairs presence for the most part. But unfortunately, Disrupt tried to use that hatch just like way too late. One of the first priorities for Soniqs was taking the lobby control away. So it looks like Disrupt have put even more pressure on it this time to try and make sure that it doesn't get stolen away so quickly by the Soniqs. As you said, though, we're very much going to have to wait and see how the round plays out to tell if that's going to be a successful strategy or not here for Disrupt's adjustments.
Well, the good news for the Soniqs is that most of the western first floor is clear. They do have to worry about NJR upstairs. He has a rotation parameter they can possibly use inside of Aqua. The hatch is open, so could drop down to Office to help with a possible flank later on in the round. First E1D usage here from Super, and he's taking quite a bit of damage as well. Don't see his exact positioning just yet. We see his drone spinning on the eastern side of the map. Looks like he took that from service door from somebody.
So we've got a bit of a delay here for the Soniqs. Usually not a team to necessarily hesitate when it comes to taking map control, at least not a team that we've come to expect so far in this series, but that's because I think, again, they're focusing very heavily on the intel game right now and trying to make sure that they have full confidence in their actions before they even take them, which is not a bad thing at all. That clear having been done, NJR is going to start to realize that, all right, he's probably not in the best position to find impact right now, so he'll start to rotate back over probably towards main stairs where he can find some type of a late round commitment. Iconic, however, may act as a late addition to this play as well, where NJR could find some action. As remember, he's still upstairs around probably Aquarium right now. Now he's still inside of Billiards, so he's got a great chance to shut Iconic down before he even gets anything started. That's if he realizes the play from Iconic is working its way through Hookah right now, though.
This is a troublesome thing, but it seems that the Soniqs are ready for it. Drone appears to be inside of Office where Sledge was playing, so could possibly have a drop, but Nyx from upstairs gets a kill towards the door of Kitchen. Very nice play from Disrupt to be able to support this time, but NJR, oh man, didn't find where he was earlier on the roam game, and all of a sudden it's down to Super outside of the lobby door. Only 28 seconds remaining. Only has one EE, one D, actually. He didn't assume that he had any left, but with that smoke on the door, not going to be able to pressure at all with his low HP, and Disrupt picks up yet another flawless round in this series.
Yeah, the Soniqs, unfortunately, never really able to find those 1 to 2 kills to get things going that they're normally able to get at the beginning of their more successful rounds. Disrupt had a really good job of just holding back, and as far as I could tell, did a really good job of denying intel to the Soniqs as well. Soniqs really hesitated on that execute up until the very final moment, where the first thing you see is them running directly into the setup of at least their mirror, or one of their players that was holding close. I don't know if it was a mirror or another
It was
operator,
Nyx upstairs in
either
VIP.
way,
he had a vertical hole through to the kitchen door for the bottom of Vibes.
Yeah, so the first thing we see after, a good minute or two of the Soniqs just kind of like posturing up, getting ready to do something, is them just immediately losing 2 to 3 of their players. So I don't know if they didn't have the intel or just didn't necessarily have a great plan to try and avoid contact on entry, but either way, things just do not even start off well for them when they finally managed to get the commitment going into the site.
It seemed that they were having quite a bit of trouble with how they wanted to contain the roam game as well. We saw Iconic switch positions quite a few times. First he was on Rappel holding Hookah door, then it immediately got down, rotated upstairs, started to work his way into Hookah, all waiting to see what was going to happen if anyone was going to rotate towards Vibes, because that was the main push from the Soniqs. They wanted that kitchen presence, and they weren't able to get it simply because they did not clear top. They didn't clear top the last time around though, but Disrupt was just much more effective at playing it.
Yeah, last time there was much more of a focus on like theater side hold for upstairs as well, which is like goes back to that hatch thing I was talking about, how a lot of the roamers last year were playing around that or at least somewhere near that. This time they flipped it, and it looks like they were in much better positions to actually assist in the late round there, as you had said.
Well, jumping into round 6, going back to the double bar setup here, and this is where we saw the Soniqs have good entry potential, but it was immediately refragged by DG, who ended up winning the round off of aggressive smoke play from Retro towards the mud door to kill easily with the diffuser. So definitely don't want to have a recreation of that. The Soniqs now set up on the western side. We haven't seen them push west too often, especially on double bar. Could possibly be a immediate site execute here, but I don't think we're going to be seeing that from the Soniqs, but we are going to have a big opening kill from Iconic. Actually ends up cleaning up Retro, who was rotating back towards the double bar. Gonna also get a participation utility there thrown out. That's a nitro cell that gets expended, but falls onto deaf ears.
Some of these opening angles that Sonics line up for themselves to get that first or second pick have been really strong too. Like, they have not been giving Disrupt a lot of room to move within their sights if Sonics have an angle to work off of on the opener here. A little bit of aggressive play coming out now, but it's going to be stopped here. Slevin's able to shut out Nyx just as he tries to get away. So once again, the Sonics are going to continue to look to be in pretty good shape. Slevin's also going to try and continue this forward a little bit. Smoke onto the doorway to stop any potential kitchen players from swinging onto him. Instead, it's going to be Reed holding the close cubby sitting at the bottom of Cool Vibes. Takes that player out. There's more on the way. Not going to be out of the hot seat just yet. Has to swing again. A nade right on top of him, but he gets up there and takes the player out before going down. Shuttle comes in to assist, and Reed, well, thankfully he doesn't need a revive as he's docked, so he can just stim himself right back up. All this craziness, and we're still even, but it's not going to stay that way for much longer. Another, now, scratch that, 2 pickups from the Sonics, with the most recent one coming from Iconic to eliminate Reed. Leaves everything onto NJR once again. This time in a 1v3 situation. He's already going to have a top-down angle when he swings onto this. It's just a matter of whether the Ash is checking it or not. Out he goes, tries to make the play. It's not going to work out, and the Sonics will claim round number 6.
Great post plant there as well. Had the beat on where NJR was playing the EE1D, making it all the more difficult for him to move around. So Sonics, great round. Amazing take upstairs as well. Disrupt just not respecting the vertical play and came back to bite him.
Very, very close, though. Very intense as well. Players definitely trying to put the pressure on Sonics. I should say, trying to put the pressure on that time for certain. And it seems as though the pressure strategy worked out very well for picking up that one final round before now jumping on to the defensive side. Where, remember, at least from our last map, this is where Sonics really started to take control of things. So we have to hope that DG are going to bring a little bit of a better style to the table here for Coastline and try and close out the map for themselves and send us on to a third one.
Well, the scary thing right now is that Iconic's been very effective at getting these entry kills. Granted, early on inside of those defensive rounds from Disrupt, NJR ran the entire show and was getting quite a few kills on Iconic specifically. But with this Doc pickup, I'm eager to see what they are going to utilize, or how they're going to utilize Iconic in this position, whether it be early kills for looking for those spawn kills or what have you. That's what I'm curious to see here. Do have the mirror as well for this double bar setup. We saw double bar twice on the defensive half of Disrupt. They ended up winning it one time, but Sonics able to bring it back on that very last round. Quite an extensive hold here from the Sonics. Definitely don't have the same idea as Disrupt in the slightest. They went one step further. Instead of playing kitchen, they move it towards bathroom and kegs.
We're going to see Super continue to hold from the inside, like you said, of kegs as well. Be able to bust out a couple of the soft panels there in order to give himself, hopefully, a bit of a kill box to play into. But unfortunately for him, at least at the beginning of this round, probably not going to catch too much of the Disrupt action here, as they seem to be moving in almost entirely from Sunrise Bar or into the office itself. In fact, they're going to be able to find the first kill from this direction too easily. He's going to get caught roaming out just a tad too much. They'll find his head chopped off and removed there. So 5v4 advantage goes to Disrupt at the start of this map.
Well, Slebin finally able to clean up a refrag here. A little extended on time, but nevertheless brings us back to even man count. It seems that the smoke players are two peas in a pod right now, easily in Retro, both getting picked off early on, in almost the exact same fashion. But for the Sonics, still have a good roam game going on here. Gomfi in quite the position right now inside of security. I don't believe that they know where he is either, playing a very nice angle through the server stack inside of security to keep the door closed off. Disrupt, losing members time after time. NJR, the next one on the docket, C is removed. EE1D up, but Iconic immediately with a bullet to the brain, and Gomfi on the rotate as well. Such a unique angle, never seen somebody play that before, but it works out for him. Possibly the last one in here, and it actually is Retro, the last remaining member of Disrupt in that 1v4, but gets an initial kill here, but it's all just participation until he's able to get this diffuser down. He does have it in hand with 1:18 remaining. Still has one EE1D and a stun, so has the utility to possibly make this happen, but it's going to require quite a lot of heavy lifting in the gun department.
Retro there choosing not to directly challenge the Mira window. Probably a smart turn of events. You said they still had an EE1D charge. Unfortunately, not going to help out too much with getting past the two stationary players sitting over in Sunrise Bar right now. Retro still waiting for any chance he may have to sneak onto the site. Has the diffuser at least, so is not going to be working against having to potentially retrieve that mid-round here. But here's the first big snag if he can't successfully get around this barbed wire, which I'm pretty sure he can. He's going to have to use the E1D mainly for sound masking here, and as he moves in, a nice find. Super, immediately getting his head chopped off. Unfortunately, missed the camera, so they now know for certain which way he's going to swing down from, and that will also allow for Sleben to swing back out here and find the trade against Retro. Soniqs close out that first round for themselves, and we're going to continue to soar with the lead in their favor, inching closer and closer to closing out in the series.
Very aggressive play there from the Soniqs, to be able to get those refrags, but then capitalizing on multiple separate situations, almost all at the same time, which left Retro down into that 1 versus 4. Really, really like how the Soniqs are using this roam game to lock down map control from Disrupt. They're able to get a little bit, but not enough to actually be impactful or set up how they want in order to execute onto the site. They have to worry about that roam game, and especially in that last round, not doing a very good job of clearing that out. So as we jump into round 2, we'll see if Disrupt is able to pump the brakes on this roam game from the Soniqs. But as we saw in Villa, I don't know if that's going to happen. And that's something that I was worried about when we came to switching sides between these two on Coastline, is that the Soniqs had a very nice setup throughout Villa to be able to support each other on quite a few separate angles, whereas Disrupt didn't have so much of the sort. Granted, they did have quite a few setups here on Coastline where the roam game was supported in different ways. It just seems that the Soniqs are doing a better job of it in this moment.
Alright, so the extended double bar hold into Kitchen, and more importantly, barrels, works out well for the Soniqs. So let's try to defend the Kitchen itself with the extended hold into the double bars. We'll do the same thing, just flip the order back around. But a lot of the utility is going to be in pretty much the same exact spot, just like that mirror window we just saw easily throw onto the ground. You should expect a lot of the play for this round to wind itself up somewhat similarly. For Disrupt, though, a bit of a different note this time, as we've got all 5 players working their way in from the west to start. That could very quickly change, however, given the very open nature of this map and the options that both defenders and attackers have to approach each and every round. Looks like quite a few are going to work their way up onto the VIP balcony first and then into the Hall of Fame. See if they can get some easy control towards Theater and start working the rest of their map control from that point forward.
Seems like it's pretty safe sailing here for Disrupt early on. They'll at least get Penthouse and Theater control at the slightest, as well as possibly VIP, but we do have Gomfi playing Drone Hole from the top of Vibe, so could have a cheeky kill here early on. Disrupt still has to clear across and get rid of Iconic as well as Gomfi, holding on to Hookah for the time being.
See here as well, Nyx getting in position just on top of the hatch. NJR with a nice find, though, is going to be able to catch Iconic trying to sneak into Aqua. So some poor timing for Iconic as he gets into that position just a little bit too late in order to go unnoticed. That's first kill of the round going over Disrupt. Not really a huge sign of any other battles brewing for the moment. It's mainly just Disrupt trying to set themselves up and get into a better position to attack the sites right now.
Oh, with only 1 minute and 30 seconds left, Disrupt has to find their way through these woods. EE1D down. They were able to see Sleben inside a lobby, but he's already rotated away. Re-peeks and rips the head off of NJR and Reed. He was ready for the refrag. Sleben all over the situation. That is exactly why this man has the highest rating in the league right now. So influential, and the game sense is incredible.
So with those 2 initial pickups there for Soniqs, that puts them in a man advantage scenario, 4 versus 3. So we're going to end up coming down to now Disrupt's 3 remaining players, also somewhat split, which could be very, very dangerous for when we lead into the late round itself here. Retro trying to work his way in from downstairs in service entry. Another player trying to play the front lobby, and a third still upstairs looking for options to drop down. The hatch is reinforced, the one that you can see the remains of on the floor right now, so there's no option to fall in from there. Defenders not really being challenged out by these EE1D charges that much either, easily taking a fight, dropping one player, downing a second with a quick switch to the ETAS to finish him off. I think that's what that shotgun's called. Nyx will be able to trade that kill out, but it's not long before Sleben works his way out the Lamborghini doorway and takes out Nyx to finish off the round.
I'm sorry, did you say Lamborghini doorway?
Yeah, yes, I did.
Oh, that's nice. Anyways, a very nice hold from the Soniqs, and honestly, there was really nothing that DG did incorrectly. I know I end up saying that quite often, but Sonics are simply outplaying Disrupt inside of these little intricate battles that they're having right now. I mean, take Easily, for example. He's laying in the middle of, well, not in the middle, but he's laying inside of the actual service entrance, which is not something we traditionally would recommend. But in those instances where the offense don't have the information that they need and they don't know exactly where you're playing, that's where those plays can be extremely impactful. And Easily definitely taking care of that situation off of the back of what Slevin was able to produce earlier on in that round.
Got the hidden pulse coming into the round once again, this time for the Sonics, as Super is going to pick it up, try to push his team closer and closer to a closeout, with hopefully some assistance from the heartbeat scanner, and more importantly, hopefully from it going unnoticed. That will more than likely not end up being the case, though, as I'm assuming someone's drone is going to be able to catch that pretty early on in the round here for Disrupt. We'll just have to try and figure out ways to counter it out from that point forward, as unfortunately there is no IQ right now for Disrupt to immediately spawn it. We'll have to use other means to try and eliminate him, especially if he's going to be roaming around downstairs.
Well, fun fact, guys, if you didn't know, Coastline actually has a 100% win rate by both of these teams. Sonic and Disrupt both have one win in the last 3 months on this map, but...
And I think both were against United.
Well, oh, that's unlucky.
I think that was the map for that, if I remember correctly.
That's an unfortunate stat right there, John. all the E United fans are going to be
Let me double check that just to make sure, because that's pretty brutal. I want to make sure that's not incorrect.
How dare you talk about the Lad Pad duo that way? Well, Disrupt's warming up this offensive round here, and already have the drones out, working their way through. We're on Hookah once again. The Sonics looking so good on defense, just like they did on Villa. But hey, Easily starts it up once again. Shuttle taken out, and Easily all over every single one of these kills. Drops the Limfao in chats. Gotta let them know. Get that mental warfare in and get it warm.
I like how you pronounce the acronym.
Yeah, Limfao.
Limfao. I've never heard it said that way.
It's a new one. Just to go off on like a little side note here, it's from this video from forever ago where this guy thinks that Lamau and Limfao are actually two people that are working together to try and like attack the British government, and he's got this guy in here explaining him like text messages. He's like, "Who is Limfao? Is he the leader of the organization?" He's like, "No, it means like laughing my butt off, like."
Yeah, rest of the acronym.
Exactly.
Very. All right. Well, it was United, by the way, that both these teams beat, just to confirm that stat from earlier. Just wanted to make sure I was correct about that before I put it forward on you guys. But either way, things are looking strong once again for the Sonics here in round number 9 to try and put themselves up onto 6 rounds, which would be map and match point for them. DG, in the meanwhile, is working to try and get themselves in, or at least get intel from the outside of the hookah doorway. But obviously, that's proving to be its own challenge, as it often is. The rest of the team is soon to be in a good position to try and execute from below as well. You can see they're trying to do a little bit of soft destruction onto the floorboards. Easy's actually going to get caught by that as he walked into it just at the wrong time. Someone should be able to go back and res him, but oh no! This is going to fall apart so quickly for the Sonics. They lose one player to being just close enough to a frag grenade to be down by it, and Slevin gets down on the cross trying to get over, and now the firebolt's going to extend out at the last second to finish him off from beyond that barricade. They will get one of their 2 down players back up, but the pressure is now coming in from Disrupt, with Nyx finding the most recent kill onto Iconic. Into a 3v3 we're now in. Easily still with a hold on the inside of Hookah, though, and this is the biggest stoppage right now. Disrupt have not been able to get themselves into one of the sites yet, but now that shouldn't be an issue for much longer. Super tries to run in on the flank, but is going to get shut down by Nyx, and that will give Disrupt control of round number 9 and their first attacking round of this map. Or of the series, actually. Incredibly
unfortunate rotations there from the Sonics. I assumed they were going to be able to get Slevin back up. He was in a pretty safe position. Nobody was playing the roof. It seemed like they were going to be able to get the Maestro, but the firebolt ended up clipping through the vase stand or whatever you want to call it, and killed him on the other side. So, it is what it is. This is Rainbow Six Siege, and this is how things tend to go. So, double bar setup now for the Sonics. Want to try and close this one out if they can. That's actually also going to be Disrupt's first offensive round win throughout this series. That's certainly the case. Yeah, Sonics are just having a really unfortunate chain of events happen to them, and all of it happened so quickly too. Before that, they had really good control over the round, but just that sequence of events probably threw them off their game a little bit and allowed for Disrupt to work their way back in. Disrupt, of course, the solid attack in order to make all that happen as well. Finally getting some good footing going. But it's tentative, at least for my analysis for the time being, until we see something like that happen again.
as I personally think that Sonic can very easily just take that round, put it in their back pocket, fix those mistakes going into a repeat of it.
I don't see anything really getting in the way of the Sonics winning this series right now. Every time that Disrupt is early picked, especially in that last round, it was super noticeable. We saw Shuttle get killed very early on, and Disrupt took forever to finally come back and start getting things done on the map again. It was a lot of waiting on rotations to see how the Sonics were going to act, but they ended up winning the round anyways, and it was off the back of those 2 downs, and quite a good frag grenade, I would say, from Nyx downstairs in Sunrise. Takes a little bit of RNG, but they're able to get around on offense.
Shuttle's going to start droning things in from Aqua. You can see not much of a defensive effort put up here by the Sonics, although that could change if Slebin wants to rotate. I don't think we'll end up seeing that from him, though, as this is very much a downstairs-focused hold right now, so he's trying to fend off any pressure that might work its way down main stairs against him, or obviously through the front door, too. So probably not much of a chance to see him swing up there and try to stop that. More than likely, Disrupt are going to get full upstairs control for themselves, and that's already working itself to be true. NGR, in fact, is already on cool vibes, trying to line up his push from there.
Well, they want to get Nyx inside soon so they can start on the soft destruction. Obviously, still plenty of time as this round has just started. I already have the rotations set up as well on the staircases. Got to lock those down, make sure that no rotations can possibly happen. The upstairs is now Disrupts, but what are you guys going to do with it? Oh my god, Iconic. What a shot. Tries to go for the drone, but instead wants to kill the Ash.
That was like the panic shot, too. He was mid-reload for that. The pressure was on when he saw those feet. Another EE1D charge works its way out, not to too much success at the dismay of Disrupt. Their players very much still getting ready to try and swing down against Iconic, though, but Iconic, with a fatal mistake, ends up wrapping a little bit too far towards the floorboard destruction on the inside of Sunrise and gives himself away to that angle. He'll die in a 1-for-1 exchange and ultimately puts us down into a 4 versus 4. Gomfy still with some potential for play here as well in the event that Sunrise is going to be the site to play on for Disrupt. They're trying to utilize it, but their biggest blockage right now is the lack of cool vibes control. The 2 times they have tried to push it, it's been shut down by Iconic, and now this time easily, who's also going to be able to throw those toxic gas grenades over towards the pool entry and stop players from pushing in there.
Well, seems to be the hill to die on for Disrupt. Grenade down. Does it get the Mira? It does. Super's been downed. He was able to pop the Nitro Cell, but the Nitro Cell did literally no damage to Nyx at all. Oh, we're going to get the refrag here. Oh, not able to clean it up quick enough, but Gomfy and easily quick to trigger DG, take down 2, and all of a sudden into the 1 versus 3 for Shuttle. This is a very, very important round as well. If Sonic and if the Sonics end up winning, this could possibly be map and match point here. Only 15 seconds remain. Shuttle doesn't have the diffuser either. This is a very dire situation. Just trying to get these frags, but doesn't work out at all. And that's 4 dead from Disrupt, all on Vibe Staircase. And I can definitely tell you, the vibes are not very cool.
No, certainly not the case, at least not from the Disrupt camp. Not much that Shuttle can do there in the 1vx, sadly, especially with the limited amount of time you had to work with. Had a little more, could have potentially backed away from cool vibes and tried to play another angle, but just didn't really have that option. Did his best, had info on 2 of the players, was hoping the third one would have tried to wrap him and pinch him, and then he could have had a free opener to start that fight off with. But yeah, not really much that he can try to bargain for in that sort of situation. So he goes down. The successful hold is picked up by the Sonics, and they now sit a single round away from closing this series out 2-0.
Well, kitchen service now here for the Sonics. Ended up seeing that in round 9. We'll see how successful they are this time, but the Sonics haven't skipped a beat just yet. So, or excuse me, wrong. I was reading the wrong graph, folks. Apologies on that one. But actually, no. Ended up the last time that they went, they ended up winning it. It's funny enough because obviously Villa as well as this map both have kitchen. So when I looked at Villa by accident, I saw kitchen. I was like, oh yeah, they're successful, but they were successful both times. So really, what does it matter?
Super setting up the mirror windows once again onto the outside walls that take them toward the main lobby. It's been a very key point onto both teams' holds here. This one came into the kitchen defense, and it looks like VIP is going to be a similar position here for the Sonics. As quite a few of their players are actually going to be upstairs here, just doing those last-second reinforcements. Super more than likely here to throw down the second mirror window, probably on that wall. Back there you go. That's going to go down. That allows for Iconic to have a bit more intel, and hopefully the capability to aggressively peek if we end up seeing Disrupt go for the VIP take over on the balcony there.
Well, for Disrupt, they're set up on the west side of the map now. Want to clear through Hookah. Drones are already started. Nyx is actually downstairs inside of Blue Bar right now, playing inside of the office door, and there's quite a bit of destruction done to the Blue Bar as well. But Disrupt are now noticing that the Sonics have put up a few barricades throughout the map to slow down their progress, but also give them sound cues. That's something those barricades are so damn good for. You can hear them crack almost completely across the map. So now they know that there's some presence inside of office, and more than likely going to see Slebin as well as the Vigil being played by Gomfy handle that situation. They've done such a good job of holding down this lobby area throughout this defense.
Continue to try and deny that pressure as DG does move in through Sunrise and gets that staging ground set up for themselves. The problem here, they've got to worry about this angle that Slebin's holding currently. He's a little bit too passive with it to try and catch anything this early on. He swings out a little more. There's a good chance he could find some players. Gomfy also taking that server rack angle that we saw used a couple rounds back. Obviously, it's not going to trip the players up on the other side as much, but he still has superiority on that angle for the first couple steps that players take into the room. Because I don't even know if they would necessarily, if they walk in standing, have an angle back at him, because it's kind of like a foot angle. But I'll have to see that one when they actually get into a fight to have some better judgment over that. As it works out pretty well for Gomfy, based on the geometry that I can see. Either way, he's been forced out of security for now. Shuttles pressure to the inside of it was a little bit too much for him to feel confident to stay in it. He'll play the main lobby with Slebin instead, as the rest of DG gets themselves ready to finally move out from Sunrise.
Well, NJR on his own again, but Iconic upstairs hops out the window, finally able to get him. Oh my god! Slebin, he only needs like 3 bullets, rips that man in half. Disrupt actually still fighting back, though. Retro gets a kill. He has the diffuser, but now a smoke comes in through kegs. Nyx already worked his way into stalls, though. This is a 2v2 situation. Actually ended up running out of EU1Ds there. That's the very last one. Retro possibly in some trouble here. I have both Sonics members outside. Gomfy gets him with the prone. It's all down to Nyx, but it's super to lock it out, and the Sonics win in 2-0 fashion.
Really, really solid setups coming out from the Sonics all day today between both maps. They've had a really great early round preparation, and early round play in general has set them up for so much success like we see there at the end, which allows them to work their way and give their opponents minimal room to work with as they were trying to get the diffuser onto the ground. And even with an unsuperior position, they're still able to just jump right down into the courtyard and work their way back into the site. Great stuff, great play overall today from the Sonics, and certainly a well-deserved 2-0.
I completely agree with you. I think that the main thing for me throughout this series was the defensive setups from the Susquehanna Sonics and how well they were playing off of each other. That teamwork does indeed make the dream work, and that's why we're finishing this one 2-0.
Even in the early round two on the attacking side, specifically talking about Coastline here, Sonics had some really great setups, just some really great crossfires that they were able to get initial map control that, at least for the first 2 rounds, almost guaranteed them 1 to 2 kills on the opener. Like I said, just overall, a really strong showing in early rounds. Got to give them props for that, and just great play overall, even beyond the early rounds too. Unfortunate for Disrupt, as we'll be seeing them take the loss for today. That means they have one more match to play a little bit later on against Tempo Storm, I believe, as well. But that'll do it for us on the mic. We'll be going back to the analysis desk once again to break everything down and hopefully have a winner's interview for us as well. So stick with us, folks, and we'll be right back in just a little bit with that final segment.
Welcome back. I'm Jackie Jing, and I'm with Veli and Jesse, and Soniqs Dude and 2 defeating Disrupt Gaming. That was a messy, chaotic map, just being real here. It really seemed like there was no structure. Jesse, what was going on, man?
Yeah, I mean, that's a hard one to analyze, right? Because it really did feel like there was a big lack of structure on both sides. I think that the defenses were really loving throwing their players all over the map. The attacks were struggling to deal with that, particularly, obviously, Disrupt's attacks were struggling to deal with Soniqs throwing their players all over the place. I think part of that is the teams. I think part of that is the map. You know, is Coastline. I think it's going to happen anywhere. It's probably going to happen here. But yeah, this was just like, there were players all over the place, and they were taking a lot of 1v1s, and that's kind of how things played out. And I think Soniqs mostly won this because they had more fraggers than really Disrupt had.
Listen, any Monday you tell me, hey, you know, we all hate Mondays, but if you can watch Nyx, NJR, iconic, and easily run around and frag out on Coastline, I'll take that any day of the week, okay?
Yeah, true. It's interesting because, you know, we discuss what we want to talk about here, and I was thinking, okay, maybe we'll focus on Soniqs, but really, all three of us just kept on coming up with questions when it came to Disrupt. And Veli, I'm going to start off with Nyx here. He definitely played differently today, and the stats have shown it. We love to see it. You know, so he did do well, even though they didn't get the W.
No, they didn't. But you know what? That just shows Nyx's versatility. Once again, one of the most highly criticized players before this league even started. People will put him in the ground. We saw him play extremely aggressive from, you know, the first play day. He was really slow our last play day, and then back to his aggressive ways again. I want to say it. I mean, NJR is just a firecracker whenever he's on the board, but Nyx's rotations to get just these picks is amazing. It really adds to Disrupt Gaming's success. I just kind of wish they had more of it.
Yeah. So Jesse, you know, you, Veli, and I were chatting. Disrupt just keeps on getting edged out, and we have seen them play really, really well, and then not so hot. What's happening here?
You know, Jackie, you asked me a question, I think a week ago, and I hadn't thought of it before you brought it up, but I really think you were onto something. You asked me, do Disrupt Gaming play to their opponent's level, either up or down? And I think that's kind of the case. It seems like Disrupt is really good at playing structured siege, where, you know, you go up against a space station or you go up against an oxygen, and it seems like, you know, when things go the way they expect it to, they can stack up pretty well and they put up strong performances. But when they play against these like wild, chaotic teams, such as the Soniqs, such as even E United sometimes, you know, it feels like things fall apart. And it's hard maybe to really remedy that. I think they need to focus on how those other top teams try to isolate these crazy and chaotic, like lower level teams, figure out, you know, what's the best strategy to pin down these roamers to, you know, play a little bit safer. This roam clear needs a little bit of an improvement, a little bit more structure in it. And hopefully they can sort this out, because yeah, it's really weird the way that Disrupt's success has come and gone. And I hope they can sort this out, because they do look so good when they're up against a structured opponent, just not in these messy matches.
Yeah, they're definitely dealing with a mental struggle here. And, you know, Veli, they struggled today. I mean, just straight up, how can they be better? You know, Jesse was talking about the mental aspect of it, but I mean, they have to make some changes, it feels like.
How can they be better? I mean, I'm just going to be brutally honest. I really love Nyx's performance today. I think Retro does extremely well for what he does. That's the plant king right there. NJR is NJR. Two players I really wanted to step up didn't, and they didn't show out. And it's pretty unfortunate, because Shuttle had such an amazing game last time we saw him on the big stage, right? Or on the big stream. And today, it just wasn't going his way. I would call out, and we would see him die extremely early at times, or just outright losing gunfights. Like, easily took advantage of him 2 rounds in a row. And that was something that they really didn't need, especially with Zofia. Now, if you're basically second entry and you're Zofia and you're dying early, you're not getting the kills, at a point in time, maybe let's just switch to Nomad or Gridlock, like something. Give him Capital. Let him be useful in another way, because his gun isn't hot at that moment. Also, Reed does his thing. Can't hate on him too much. The only thing I can say about Reed is that one play where Sleva was behind the front desk, and you're Capital, you shoot a firebolt at that boy. You get him out of there, all right? You drag him out, and then keep your aim up so you can get the kill. Other than that, Disrupt Gaming, this isn't who they are. I refuse to believe this. Right, Shuttle, 4 kills and 7 deaths. Dude, Reed is better than Rito. Rito is better than that.
Rito.
So, at least he has 100% headshot rate. Next time around, I want to see them be more of a factor for this team. They're not that bad. And if they were, I would have said it. I expect better from these two.
And I think that like these are players we've seen do really well in the past on other rosters or even on this roster previously. And again, I think that comes down to the fact that like they're just not good in this wild, chaotic environment. I want to see more structure be put into those attacks. I want to see them really like sharpen up, I guess, like, act like a military general and like place your pieces where they need to go. Don't let them like run wild, because you're not going to beat the Sonics like that. This roster just doesn't have the players. So yeah, I think that like you put these players in roles where they can succeed. You put them in team structures that will help them, and they can play really, really well. It's just not what we saw today.
Yeah, all right. Well, let's wrap up our chat about Disrupt, because the man of the hour, Super from the Sonics, is on deck. Super, congrats on the victory. How does it feel? You're going to the qualifier.
It just feels like another win. We came in expecting to win, and we won. And we play a qualifier for an online tournament, which, sure, it's a major, but it's hard to get too excited about it.
Well, still a great victory to get. I know you're a little lukewarm on it, but, we were excited to watch y'all. The lineup is coming together. You're gelling. How do you think you'll fare in the qualifier?
I've said before, obviously Dark Zero is a really good team. I think us and them are obviously probably the favorites to come out of it. I think we're both really good. I've said for a while that I think with our full roster, I think we're a top 4 team. I don't think we've done anything to make people doubt that. So, assuming us and Dark Zero win our first round games in the qualifier, I'm looking to kind of a rematch with them with our full roster.
So you just said that you think that many consider y'all to be a top 4 team. I do think that there are some out there who consider you to be more of a middle of the pack team. Do you think that you have what it takes to be one of the top teams in the US then, and why?
I actually said that I believe that we're a top 4 team. I didn't say people believe that. Coming into this match, I saw on Reddit that we were a 3-1 underdog, which is like insane because that's a one-man team. So like one person can't beat 5 people. So I think we're a top 4 team. I think we have the ability to show it. We have not had our full team for too long now. So obviously the more time we get to practice, the more that helps us. But we're going to give it our best shot versus assuming we both win Dark Zero in the qualifier.
Well, I stand corrected, and we shall see, right? Maybe y'all will be what you say. I do want to ask you, what do you want to tell your fans, perhaps some haters out there? What do you think that they should know about the Sonics? What should they know about your team?
I don't think there's anything to really know. I think you can watch us and decide for yourself if we're good or not. I was listening to you guys speak before this, and you were kind of all just talking about how Disrupt was just not playing well or whatever, like they have weak players or something. I don't think that's true. I think they're a really good team. I just think we're really good too. And sometimes when you play a really good team, you don't look as good as you are. I don't think that there's anything really wrong with Disrupt. They've exceeded everyone's expectations and they've played really strong. We're just really strong too.
Well, we will certainly see how everything plays out at the qualifier then. Thank you so much, Super, for chatting with us, and congrats on the victory.
Thanks, guys.
Bye. All right, let's bring it back to our analyst there. Okay. He
stands
little,
so serious.
Yes. He was intense. He was intense there. Bringing the Super confidence for sure. He definitely thinks that they have what it takes to be a top 4 team. And I do think we talked about Disrupt a lot. And I said that while we were doing our analysis. I was like, hey, we're having a lot of question marks about Disrupt. What did y'all think of that interview? Is there anything that we should be saying about the Sonics that we haven't been? We were being candid. We thought that was a messy, chaotic map there that really I don't know, there was not a lot for us to take away from, you know?
I mean, mostly, I really just love everything Sleben was doing. Sleben abused 1v1s. He always found his way into 1v1. But like Super said, you know, you can look at things two ways, right? If two good teams play against each other and a player does really good, a player does really bad, the question is, did the player just play bad or did the good player just play really good?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I'm going to be honest, I think Sonics were more on their A game. I still don't think this was the best version of Dark Zero. And I'm going to stand by that. I really don't care. But I really, not Dark Zero, Disrupt game.
Disrupt.
You're right.
I was going to check you. They both start with D's. I get it.
But the good news is, Jackie, Disrupt Gaming, they still have a chance. So we might see a rematch. That's something I really want to see. Like Jesse said earlier when he predicted them, I think they can be a top 4 team too, which is really cool because I don't think NA has ever been this competitive, you know? And now we're looking at a scenario where Sonics and Disrupt, the 5th and 6th place teams, you know, respectively right now, they can be in the top 4. I love it.
And it's Siege. You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like you really can't sleep on anyone. You never know when someone's just going to pop off and absolutely be ridiculous. And in no ways do we want to downplay the victory. And you know, Sonics did their thing and awesome. But Jesse, I just wanted to see if you had anything to weigh in there. Anything, you know, you took away from the interview, anything you took from what Super said?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you know, Super's got his usual confidence. I like what he said about you can just watch us and choose for yourself if we're a good team or not. And yeah, I think that they've played well enough that you should be considering them as a team to watch in the qualifiers. I actually think just based on playstyles, they might come out and take that qualifier spot. I mean, Dark Zero is a team we've known to struggle against some of the low-level squads, some squads that play a little bit chaotic. I don't know, that's still a bit away, so I don't want to jump right into those predictions. But yeah, I think Sonics have a realistic chance of making it to the North American mini-major, and yeah, I think it was a fine interview from Super.
Jesse, we don't get to talk about this because we don't get to talk about this because Jesse isn't on the recap show. You all better catch the recap show, all right?
Okay.
I really think it's funny that Dark Zero is in the online qualifier, and the fact that we can possibly have Sonics and Disrupt Gaming there. I really don't think Dark Zero is the strongest team there. I think it's like a level playing field. So
yeah,
it just keeps getting better and better.
Oh man, I'm so excited for it. Oh, sorry. Continue.
No, I'm done.
You're done now?
Yes. Yes.
Really?
Sorry for
when
talking too much.
Bring attention to no, we love your chatting, Velly. We love you. But actually, we do need to get to the Corsair play of the day. Yes. So what do y'all think it is?
I didn't think about it ahead of time now. I don't know.
I was so excited with the games, right? It has to be one of the Bosco clutches.
Yeah, Bosco
probably.
Played.
Probably Bosco
awesome.
clutch.
Yes.
All right, our Corsair play of the day. Let's roll it. Is it Bosco? Is it not Bosco? And
yes, I think so.
There we go.
Okay.
Yeah, this was the 1v2 clutch. Okay, so up against the Clash and Vertical as well on the Jaeger.
That shouldn't have happened. That shouldn't have happened at all. I still don't get how that happened. Like, yo, Bio had the round 1.
Man.
I love in the text chat too, still number 1.
Yeah.
So back on top.
Pop off, Troy.
All right. Well, let's look over the bracket and recap the day, everybody. And Jesse, why don't I start with you, and you can break down Group B.
Sure. So Group B, obviously we just got done with the winners game. That means that 5th place is secured. Coming in for the Sonics. They will secure that spot and then lock in a slot for the regional qualifier as well. We'll then have Disrupt and Tempo Storm play for that 6th versus 7th spot, and that's a big difference because 5th will go to the regional qualifier, or sorry, 6th will go to the regional qualifier, 7th will get nothing, just like United. So there's still a really important match to figure out in Group B, and we'll watch that one in just a couple days.
Yes.
All right. And Veli, what do you got to add? You want to talk about Group A a little?
What's the add? I mean, it's pretty much set, right? Oxygen, TSM, Space Station, they're okay. Space Station got first place. They play with the 8th seed. Oxygen, TSM, they're going to go hard against each other. I mean, what more do we really have to break down? Just the only thing is, Dark Zero, they have to go hard. They cannot overlook these other teams.
Yeah. All right. Well, a lot of excitement ahead of us, folks. We do have some more professional play on Wednesday. Don't forget about the Canada Division and Challenger League Friday and Saturday, y'all.
Yes.
Okay. Qualifier time. We're excited. We're here for it. We are Gonna be working on Saturday and hanging out with you all
Tune
then.
in.
But yes, better be there, folks. But thank you all for watching so much. Big thank you to Jesse and Velly, my analysts. Love them to pieces. Big thank you to our casters. Big thank you to our crew behind the scenes. Love you all too. And of course, we love all of you at home. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful evening.